Chapter 589. After kissing her, Jiyu Jaluo ran back to the dormitory without looking back. Jiyu touched her face. She still didn't know what had happened. The moonlight slowly fell from the sky, and a fiery red sun shone on the land. The market started to bustle again. Many people picked up their goods and placed them on the streets. Jiyu returned to the dormitory with all kinds of snacks. Xiao Jiyu and the cat girl perked up. Suddenly, they heard a voice and Jiyu opened the door. Jiyu Jaluo was outside the door. She was holding a small box in her hands. She placed the box on the table. Jiyu looked at the small box in front of her. What is this? Looking at the food on Jiyu's table, Jiyu Jaluo pursed her lips. This. I originally brought some food for master, but it seems that you have food now. Jiyu patted her little head and held her little hand. Come over. After he said this, the rest of the people quickly followed Jiyu in. Jiyu Jaluo didn't stand on ceremony. She just sat on the chair and said indifferently, "Your food is so delicious." At this moment, a fat guy popped his head out and fixed his gaze on Jiyu. Chang Yuan, come in. Chang Yuan, Big Ning, and Little Ning followed behind. They leaned on Jiyu. Boss Ji, the food you bought is so delicious. Everyone laughed. The end of Jiyu Jaluo's neck had already turned red. She was blushing to the extreme. Jiyu turned her head and said indifferently, Chang Yuan, do you want to spar with me? Hearing this, he blushed and quickly turned his body away. Dang, dang, dang. While everyone was joking around, a series of dang sounds came from the air. The Mystic Master competition is about to start. They said in unison. Jiyu led the crowd to the foot of the stage. Raising his head, everyone from the Temple Academy fixed their gazes on Jiyu. The leader of the group whispered a few words in the ear of the elder in charge of the announcement. The elder nodded as if he had understood something. He turned around and said to the people in front of him, the first match is between Sacred Academy and Great Sword Academy. The two groups of people quickly rushed to the ring. The battle ended very quickly. Those who persevered in the arena were still trembling. But soon, the school doctor carried them away. The second round, Giant Beast Academy versus Rapid Sound Academy. Everyone from the Giant Beast College walked up to the stage, but compared to the Strength College, they were simply too weak. Everyone was sent flying in an instant. The remaining people quickly surrendered as well. Next match, Godwind Academy versus Central Capital Mystic Advanced Academy. Jiyu and the others walked up to the arena. Countless peach blossom leaves floated in the air and condensed into 6 people. The 6 sisters of the Su family appeared on the scene. Each of them made a delicate pose. The 6th sister of the Su family took the lead. In the blink of an eye, she flew forward and moved quickly to both sides. Jiyu said lightly, left. Chang Yuan also moved. He quickly rushed to the left. The 2 people looked at each other, and Chang Yuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Damn fatty, disgusting. After shouting this, the 6th sister of the Su family kicked him. Chang Yuan didn't react in time. He flew backward and fell heavily on an iron pillar. A drop of blood flowed out of his mouth. Fatty, are you okay? Da Ning and Xiao Ning spoke at the same time. Then, the 5th sister of the Su family and the 4th miss of the Su family snickered. You still have time to care about others. Pay attention to yourself first. The 2 sisters instantly came to the front of the brothers and raised their soft fists. Sister, those soft fists won't be able to harm us brothers. They waved their fists in the direction of the 2 brothers. Between the legs of the 2 brothers, a purple light emerged. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from where they were. When they reappeared, a purple light flashed. They had already appeared in the sky. The 2 of them waved their fists at the same time. There was a loud bang. They sent their Xian skills to the 2 sisters. Xian skill, Giant Nether Cat. Xian skill, Giant Nether Leopard. The Qi gang on the 2 brothers suddenly turned into a cat and a leopard. Jiyu said lightly, their Xian skills are still beast fusion skills. When the fists were about to reach the 2 brothers, their bodies suddenly turned into petals and disappeared in the midst of the suction. The 2 brothers' fists hit the arena. The arena, which was originally more than 60 meters high, suddenly fell at least 50 meters. They sucked in a breath of cold air. How is it possible? Our Xian skills have no effect on you. Right at this moment, Sister Su, Little 4 and Little 5 both covered their small mouths and put their hands together. Their bodies quickly rotated and the Xian qi in their hands gradually overlapped. It was like a giant tornado, which directly swept this wind towards the two Ning brothers. He took a deep breath and Ji Yu suddenly took a step back. The Xian qi in her hands condensed in a moment. Then, the Xian qi in Ji Yu's hands turned into Xian qi threads and quickly extended forward, hooking onto the opponent's body. Ji Yu suddenly pulled back her hand and pulled that brother back to her. Ji Yu said, "Be careful. You are not their opponent." "Thank you, old Ji," the two of them said at the same time. Ji Yu pulled out the warhound's great sword and looked at the people in front of her. She said, "Next, I will be your opponent." Ji Yu released her Xian qi and raised it to around the 7th level. 7th level of the Spirit Profound Realm? Sisters, let's go together. The 6 sisters of the Su family came forward at the same time and each made a seductive gesture. Ji Yu turned her head and said to Ji Yu Jaluo in front of her, "Watch carefully." Ji Yu instantly moved. He flew forward and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Su Liumai. So fast. Before Su Liumai could react, she was kicked into the air. He also jumped up lightly and flew into the air, quickly colliding with the opponent. The rest of the people quickly fell down. Ji Yu said indifferently, "Jaluo, watch carefully." Chapter 590. Ji Yu's Xian qi burst out from his legs in an instant and kicked Su Liumai's chin. Su Liumai flew into the air after being kicked. Then, Ji Yu grabbed Su Liumai's waist and threw her into the air. Su Liumai flew into the air again. Ji Yu kicked her body. Ji Yu's figure flashed and in the blink of an eye, he kicked her body. After a few moves, he hammered into her body. Boom! 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 The audience saw Su Liumai flying in the air like a kite with a broken string. The people of the Strength clan stared with their eyes wide open. How is this possible? How can he have such strength? He didn't use Xian qi, he didn't use Xian qi. Ji Yu Jaluo never expected that just physical skills could have such strength. Ji Yu hooked his arm around Su Liumai's body and threw her to the ground. He stood up once more. Su Liumai fell to the ground and Ji Yu pulled her up. "Sorry for offending you." Su Liumai touched her buttocks. "It hurts. Don't you know what it means to have tender feelings for the fairer sex?" As soon as she said that word, Su Liumai's eyes lit up with a pink light. Then, Ji Yu saw that there seemed to be 7 or 8 beauties around her, and they kept dancing. Ji Yu saw so many petals falling from the sky. Each petal was like a blade, waving in the direction of Ji Yu. Ji Yu's qi aura suddenly lit up. The petals hit the qi aura and emitted a faint light. Ji Yu stood up and said faintly, "Your charming ability is not bad, but you met me. What a strong spiritual power. Humph, I don't want to play anymore." Su Liumai returned to her little sister. The Su family's 6 sisters of the God Wind Academy were most famous for their Xian skill, Heaven's Hook. This was the legendary power of charm. With a wave of Ji Yu's hand, 18 puppets suddenly appeared on the arena. The Su family's 6 sisters frowned. "These are golden puppets. I didn't expect him to be a puppet master. Sisters, let's use that move." After shouting this, the Su family's 6 sisters stood in the middle of the arena. A new array formation suddenly appeared on the ground. Ji Yu stepped out and pulled it behind her. Suddenly, the 18 golden puppets appeared in front of them in the blink of an eye. Ji Yu pulled the threads of Xian qi in her hand. In the blink of an eye, the 18 golden-bodied puppets flew into the air and unsheathed their swords. These were the new treasures that Ji Yu had forged for them. Each of these treasures had the power of a 7th-order expert. Each of the 6 sisters of the Su family had several long swords on their necks. "Surrender, it's over," Ji Yu said indifferently. Looking at Ji Yu's appearance, the Su family's 6 sisters took a deep breath. They never expected that with such a simple attack, they would lose. They walked down the arena one after another. The people from Temple Academy walked in front of Gu. Not bad, you can actually defeat the God Wind Academy's 6 great misses. I look forward to meeting you. The Temple Academy's opponent this time is the Academy of Strength. The people in front of the Academy of Strength took a step forward one after another. Their bodies quickly condensed a powerful Xian Qi. They looked in the direction of Gu. Gu gave them a thumbs up. The people from the Academy of Strength stepped on the ground. The muscles on the 6 people's bodies suddenly swelled. Let's see what we should do next. After shouting this sentence, the people from the Academy of Strength rushed towards the people from the Temple Academy. However, the leader of the Temple Academy didn't move at all. The person at the back of the team suddenly took a step forward. The Xian Qi on his body kept stacking up. 6 black rings appeared under his feet. Everyone present was dumbfounded by this scene. You're actually an array master, the leader of the Academy of Strength nervously said. For people like them who relied on their physical strength to become Xian Qi practitioners, they were most afraid of encountering a long-range mage, because they didn't have the opportunity to get close to them. The leader of the Academy of Strength nervously said, "Everyone, pay attention. Immediately activate it. We must break his array before it forms." "Yes, leader." After everyone shouted this, they rushed forward one after another. The array master of the Temple Academy looked at them with disdain. His mouth was already chanting an incantation. In an instant, the color of the sky changed. Dark clouds covered the sky, turning into bolts of lightning, striking down from the sky. A bolt of lightning struck the surrounding trees, and a burst of crackling sounds could be heard from the surroundings. A huge tree slowly collapsed. Immediately after, countless vines grew out from the tree, directly forming an outline of the opponent's body. The people of the Academy of Strength just jumped up. In the next second, the vines wrapped around his leg. Looking at his leg, they wanted to move forward, but found that they couldn't move at all. Immediately after, the array master started chanting an incantation again. Countless vines turned into sharp thorns, swimming towards the people of the Academy of Strength. They danced in the air, then heavily stabbed towards their bodies. Blood immediately covered the vines on the ground. The leader of the Academy of Strength's eyes immediately turned red. He heavily said, "Xian skill." What? Everyone opened their eyes wide. A person without Xian Qi can use a Xian skill? Exploding heavenly star. After roaring this sentence, a raging fire appeared on his body. The vines on his body all retreated in an instant. Gu indifferently said, "You guys leave. You're not their match." The leader of the Academy of Strength also said, "You guys leave. No, in this battle, we want to be with you, leader." After shouting this sentence, the person in front of them started chanting the incantation in his hand. The array master needed time to chant, so the people of the Academy of Strength looked at each other. Just as they rushed up, the ground suddenly became soft. Gu indifferently said, "Not good, something's wrong." The people of the Academy of Strength in the arena gradually sank into the ground. What's going on? A few people were left with half of their bodies. Only their leader was still pulling them with all his might. Looking at how hard they were working, the people around them curled their lips into a smile. In the blink of an eye, the leader of the Academy of Strength in front of them disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the next second, he appeared in front of the array master. He heavily punched out. Exploding heavenly star used his body as a medium to borrow Xian Qi from heaven and earth. In the next breath, the fire essence around him gathered on the leader of the Academy of Strength. He roared and punched out with his fist. His fist heavily knocked on the array master's Qi shield. Crackling sounds could be heard from the Qi shield. It was obvious that it could not withstand such a fierce attack. The person beside the array master suddenly raised his head. Beast Shen technique, sharp claw. His fingernails instantly turned red and long. In the next breath, he disappeared from his original position. When he reappeared, he was beside the leader. The sharp claw viciously clawed down, and the leader was immediately sent flying. He turned around and grabbed the leader's head in his hand. Ji loudly said, "The temple rules, no killing." The black-robed man chuckled, "Who said I was going to kill him?" After saying this, he stretched out his hand and heavily clawed down. Suddenly, the meridians in the leader's legs were sent flying. The black-robed man only used force to fling the leader, and the leader rolled on the ground. "Are you satisfied with this?" Hearing this, the array master almost had his chi shield broken by the Academy of Strength. Now that he had nowhere to vent his anger, he released a powerful Xian light from his hands. Countless vines wrapped around their bodies in an instant. In the next second, the people of the Academy were wrapped around by the vines and flew into the air. Immediately after, the array master angrily roared, "All of you will pay the price, all of you will pay the price." After shouting this, sharp thorns appeared on the vines and pierced into the bodies of the people of the Academy. These thorns pierced into their bodies. The people of the Academy of Strength continuously bled from their bodies, and then they fell to the ground. The surrounding people sucked in a deep breath of cold air. "We can't do it." The leader looked at his brother, and was just about to say the words of surrender. Suddenly, the vines in front of him directly extended towards the leader, grabbing him. "Ah!" The leader's miserable cry resounded throughout the entire arena. The array master of Temple Academy indifferently said, "The competition is already over." A few Xian masters in charge of healing walked onto the stage. They used their own Xian Qi to protect their lives, but during this process, their meridians all left their bodies. One of the Xian masters in charge of healing stood up and indifferently said, "Their lives are not in danger, so the Temple Academy is not breaking the rules. However, the people of the Academy of Strength can forget about continuing to cultivate." Hearing this sentence, everyone clenched their fists. Despicable. Ji coldly looked at the people on the stage. Their gazes locked onto Ji. Chapter 591. Ji looked at them coldly. Immediately after, the Giant Beast Academy entered the arena and the opposing team quickly surrendered. The day's battle ended once again. After the competition ended, Ji went to the hotel where the Strength Academy was located. Every single one of them laid on the bed and started crying. "Captain, are we not going to be able to cultivate in the future?" Zhao Yang looked at the juniors beside him and felt a sense of guilt in his heart. "You guys, if that's the case, just forget it." Ji knocked on the door. Zhao Yang, who was lying on the bed, picked up his walking stick and limped over to Ji. "This is Ji Gongzi, we've let you see our ugly faces." Ji waved her hand, "I'm here to help you guys." "What?" Hearing those words, the 6 people present immediately raised their heads. Ji said indifferently, "I have a way to help you guys, and it will also increase your strength." The few of them looked at each other and slowly said, "Really? Of course. Then what's the way?" "Beast Mystic Skill." Hearing this, everyone lowered their heads. To be honest, although we can use mystic skills, we can't merge mystic beasts into our bodies. Ji said indifferently, "Your bodies have been modified by mystic skills, so you can use that move. But now, we can give it a try." Everyone looked at each other and walked forward, trying their best to kneel on the ground. "We're willing to give it a try. But if we fail, you guys will die." Everyone clenched their fists. To be honest, if we can't become mystic masters, then even if we don't die, we will lose the confidence to live and become muddle-headed people. Seeing the flames in their eyes, Ji said, "Okay, I agree." After saying this, Ji suddenly turned around. With a wave of her hand, a wave of mystic energy enveloped them and took them out of the Zhongju city, walking straight into the forest beside them. Although the mystic beast forest covered a large area, it couldn't extend to the eastern region. But in this forest, there was a new king of mystic beasts, and the surrounding area had been heavily surrounded by soldiers sent by the Eastern Region Kingdom. Ji and the others were about to enter when a soldier walked out. He released the mystic energy of the peak of the Tongxian realm. Ji said indifferently, "I have a token in my hand." He raised the token high and looked at the token in Ji's hand. The soldier asked in confusion, "You are from the Zhongju City Mystic Academy?" "Yes. In the past, you can enter the Mystic Beast Forest to hunt mystic beasts if you need, but not today." At this moment, the fifth prince arrived with the soldiers beside him. They took out their treasured weapons, and the soldiers guarding the door knelt on the ground and said indifferently, "Greetings, Your Highness." The fifth prince said slowly, "We are friends, let them in." Ji nodded at the fifth prince, and the group entered the mystic beast forest. Ji asked, "Your Highness, if I'm not wrong, you also have mystic beast skills, right?" "Yes, I came this time to see if there is any suitable evolution for my mystic beast skills." When they reached a fork in the road, an old man walked out and cupped his hands. "Your Highness, I sense that our target is on the left." Ji cupped her hands and said, "Let's go to the right, where the mystic beasts are mainly dexterous." The fifth prince said, "If there is anything you need, please let me know. We will bid farewell here, and I hope that we can spar in the arena." "Your Highness, we will take our leave." Ji led the group to the depths of the forest on the right. Here, countless mystic beasts looked at Ji with hostility. He released his peak 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm, and the strong pressure made all the mystic beasts flee. Ji looked in the direction in front of her, and gradually took a step forward. A dark haze appeared in the sky. A green fog shrouded the scene. It seemed that Ji's cauldron-level mystic energy was the most important supplement for this mystic beast. The giant snake coiled in the sky. It spat out its long snake head in Ji's direction. Large drops of sweat appeared on Zhao Yang's forehead. He raised his hand and said, "Not good, it is a 6th-level mystic beast, which is equivalent to a human in the mortal profound realm." Ji said indifferently, "Coincidentally, this mystic beast is what you should have." Zhao Yang pulled Ji, "If you want my brothers to exchange their lives for this mystic beast, I don't need it." At this moment, the long black snake slithered instantly. The green fog near its mouth was also slowly released at this moment. The green fog instantly covered Ji's direction. If it wasn't for Ji's protection, Zhao Yang and the others would have been completely corroded by this poisonous fog. Ji raised her hand, and the Warhound's greatsword appeared in her hand. The Warhound's greatsword swung down heavily. Ding, host used the Warhound's greatsword, obtained experience points 1 by 999. A gust of wind erupted from the greatsword, blowing away the surrounding poisonous fog. Ji suddenly rushed out. The long snake twisted its body, and swung its tail in Ji's direction. The powerful force sent the people in front of her flying. Ji looked at the long snake in front of her. To hit a snake, one had to hit its vital point. She flew into the air, twisted her body, and swung her hand. The great sword in her hand exploded with a powerful mystic energy, and directly struck at the snake's vital point. With a loud bang, a huge impact sounded. The long snake heavily fell to the ground. Ji quickly walked out, holding the great sword in her hand, and stabbed it into the long snake's body. The long snake hurriedly escaped, and kept slithering in the air. Ji suddenly slashed. In an instant, a wound appeared on the long snake's tough skin. Blood continuously flowed out. Seeing the blood on her hand, the long snake still wanted to resist, but immediately after, Ji loudly shouted, "Raging Flame Saber Technique." Every strike of the blade landed on the snake's body, causing blood to flow out continuously. Looking at this scene, he took a deep breath. The Warhound's greatsword in Ji's hand also erupted with a powerful light. A giant dog ran out from the Warhound's greatsword, roaring at the sky. The serpent spirit also rushed forward. A dog and a snake tangled together, gradually fusing together. Ji's Warhound's greatsword had a new change, turning into a sharp green handle. Ji swung his sword and a green poisonous mist slowly flowed out and entered the serpent. However, the serpent was able to spit out the poisonous mist because all the poisonous mist was gathered in its mouth. But the body itself did not have the ability to resist poison. The long snake gathered together at this moment. It fell to the ground, and Ji sent its meridian flying. A green meridian appeared in Ji's hand, and Ji handed it to the other party. Zhao Yang took the meridian. There was a look of fear in his eyes. He said indifferently, "How do I fuse with this Shen beast's meridian?" Ji said indifferently, "As long as it is like this." She suddenly swung her palm, and the power of this palm actually sent the meridian in Zhao Yang's hand into his body. The strong Xian beast's meridian caused Zhao Yang's entire body to be filled with strong Xian energy. But Zhao Yang's body could not withstand this strong Xian energy, and in an instant, it continuously surged around him. Ji Yu looked at this strong Xian energy. Zhao Yang spat out a mouthful of blood, and Ji Yu took a step forward, injecting her Xian energy into his body. But in the next second, Zhao Yang opened his eyes. He stood up with trembling hands, threw away his crutches, and stamped his legs. Xian skill, 100 swimming shadows. At this moment, Zhao Yang began to swim, and spread out in all directions. It was as if a dozen Zhao Yangs had appeared in an instant. I did it, I did it. Zhao Yang excitedly hugged Ji Yu. Thank you. Then, Ji Yu found a few more Xian beasts, and matched them with the Xian beasts' meridians for the rest of the School of Strength. Suddenly, a loud roar came from the sky. Ji Yu frowned. Oh no, something has happened to the fifth prince. He was the first to turn and run out, and the rest of the School of Strength followed behind Ji Yu, rushing out. Ji Yu arrived at the fifth prince's location, only to see that all the guards had turned into corpses, scattered all over the place. The fifth prince looked at the Xian beast in front of him. The Xian beast was also at the end of its rope, and its body swayed, then fell to the ground. But at this moment, a young man in a purple robe led 51st level Spirit Profound Realm cultivators out. Isn't this 5th Imperial Brother? 6th Imperial Brother? 5th Imperial Brother, it seems reasonable to die under the Xian beasts today. We're brothers, do you really want to kill me that much? 6th Imperial Brother laughed. I'm not the 6th Prince, I'm a member of the temple. But if you want to know the truth, I'm afraid you'll have to ask the King of Hell. He waved his hand heavily, and in an instant, hundreds of arrows capable of piercing through Xian Qi flew out. Ji Yu appeared in front of the fifth prince, and her Xian Qi suddenly lit up. The long arrows were blocked one after another. The sixth prince pointed at Ji Yu and said, "You dare to interfere in the matters of the temple?" Ji Yu smiled coldly, "A member of the temple? Coincidentally, I've been wanting to meet your people for a long time." Chapter 592. The sixth prince gave a cold laugh. With just you. His eyes were like lightning as he waved his hand. Suddenly, a haze appeared in the sky. Profound skill, 10,000 lightning array. After an angry roar, the thunderclouds in the sky suddenly changed. A bolt of lightning fell from the sky. Ji Gongzi, be careful. My royal brother's profound skill is something that even 6th grade profound beasts can't resist. The fifth prince anxiously shouted. That bolt of lightning fell on Ji Yu's aura and turned into a white light. Under the bombardment of tens of thousands of heavenly thunders, the entire land was covered in thick black smoke, blocking the sky. Ha, 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 do you see? Whoever dares to stop my plan, there is only one outcome. Just as his voice fell, a golden light suddenly appeared in the sky in front of him. 18 golden puppets protected Ji Yu. Scorch marks appeared on their bodies. The sixth prince frowned. That thing on your body, what is it? His brows furrowed. He saw Ji Yu wave the profound silk in her hand and the 18 puppets beside her retreated behind Ji Yu. They reached out their hands to protect Ji Yu in front of them. The sixth prince took 2 steps back in fear and said to the people beside him, "Go, capture her for this prince." The group of soldiers looked at each other. The sixth prince said, "Today's matter, all of you have a part in it. All of you go, otherwise not a single one of you can escape." The soldiers all relaxed their bodies. The people in front of them gradually ran forward. They stretched out the spears on their bodies. Martial array skill, 1000 army break. The silver spears released a bright light in an instant. It was as if there were 10,000 spears piercing towards Ji Yu. Ji Yu held the warhound's great sword and swung it down. Countless cracks appeared on the ground and a mass of flames appeared from the ground. In the blink of an eye, the two profound energy collided. A loud rumbling sound was heard. The group of soldiers retreated one after another, blood trickling down from the corners of their mouths. They wiped the blood from their mouths and glared in Ji Yu's direction. The sixth prince said plainly, Ji Gongzi, as long as you don't interfere in this matter, from today onwards, the doors of the holy temple will be open for you. Furthermore, there will be an endless supply of elixirs. When I become the crown prince, I will give you my title. What do you think? Ji Yu glanced at the fifth prince. In his heart, the fifth prince believed that no one would be able to resist his brother's conditions. Thus, he closed his eyes. Come. He finished in despair. He closed his eyes. Ji Yu suddenly waved her hand, and the 18 golden puppets beside her disappeared in an instant, flying towards the soldiers in front of her. Martial profound technique, 1000 army break. As the fusion of a military general's array, even a peak 7th level spirit profound realm expert would fear the shattering 1000 armies. He suddenly took a step back, and in just a breath of time, the warhound greatsword in his hand swung down heavily. A loud rumbling sound was heard. 5 blazing flames gathered together and flew directly towards the formation of soldiers. The soldiers' chi shield suddenly gathered together. They originally thought that it would be able to block Ji Yu's attack, but they did not expect that this attack would break through their chi shield. A loud cracking sound was heard. The surrounding people were all sent flying backwards. Such terrifying profound strength. What level of profound cultivator are you? He took a deep breath and the profound energy in Ji Yu's body suddenly erupted. Her profound energy directly rose to the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm. The surrounding profound energy enveloped this small deep forest. It directly suppressed the other party's body, and they all knelt on the ground. Ji Yu held the great sword in her hand, and stepped in front of the sixth prince, and grabbed his neck. The sixth prince was lifted up. If you kill me, the entire imperial family will not let you go. Ji Yu reached out and pulled, taking off the mask on his face, and a pale face appeared in front of everyone. The fifth prince walked forward and anxiously asked, "You are not my sixth brother, where is he now?" The sixth prince chuckled. "He died a long time ago." After saying this, the fifth prince's forehead bulged. He held the artifact in his hand and directly stabbed the sixth prince. The sixth prince's breath sank, and then he lost his life. The fifth prince cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for saving my life, young master." Ji Yu glanced at him. "Looking at you, I don't think you can go back alone. Come with me." The fifth prince cupped his hands and said, "Thank you, young master." Ji Yu sent the fifth prince and the people of Yuji Academy back to the central capital. After saying goodbye, Ji Yu returned to the academy's dormitory alone. Ji Yu Jaluo seemed to have waited for Ji Yu for a long time. She asked with some bitterness, "Master, do I still have to go to class today?" Ji Yu took her little hand and went to the backyard. "Today, I will teach you a set of swordsmanship." Ji Yu demonstrated it once. When it was Ji Yu Jaluo's turn, for some reason, she could not imitate Ji Yu's swordsmanship. Ji Yu frowned, walked behind her, and held her hand. "You have to do it like this." Ji Yu Jaluo's face was flushed, and she waved the long sword heavily. Ji Yu said lightly, "That's all for today." Ji Yu Jaluo held Ji Yu's hand and kissed him on the cheek. The next day, all the people in the city gathered under the arena. It is said that the land of inheritance is about to open, so the competition will end today. Is this true? There are so many teams. How can they finish in one day? I heard that they will take turns to fight. All the battle teams were gathered on the stage. An elder walked out and stood on the arena. He said lightly, "Today's competition will take turns. Which team has the confidence to fight first?" Hearing this, the students of the Giant Beast Academy walked out proudly. "I'm Ju Busheng. I'm willing to fight first." The people from the other academies in purple robes also took a step forward. "I'm Ju Ping from the School of Agility. I'm willing to fight." "Good, then the competition will start with you." The people from the Giant Beast Academy stood on the arena. They gradually walked out. They stood in front of Ju Busheng. They stepped on the ground, as if there was a giant bear covering their bodies in an instant. The giant bear patted its chest. It roared at the people from the School of Agility in front of it. Ju Ping said lightly, "Mystical technique, sharp claws." After roaring this sentence, 2 hands gradually stretched out sharp claws, and they all turned into long purple shadows. Ju Ping raised his hand. At this moment, they flew forward. The claws hit their bodies one after another, but it didn't have any effect on the giant bear. The giant bear's possession of the beast mystic technique gave them a strong defense. Ju Bushing said with a smile, "Little trick of controlling insects." He patted his chest and grabbed the captain of the School of Agility in front of him. He grabbed the person in front of him and slammed him heavily on the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura gradually weakened. The people from the School of Agility pulled down one after another. The elder said lightly, "The competition is over. Don't kill." Only then did the people from the Giant Bear Academy stop. A few more teams walked onto the arena, but they were quickly knocked out of the arena. Next, Zhongju Advanced Mystic Academy. Ji Yu led Chang Yuan and the others to the arena. It was accompanied by a whistle. A long whistle sounded. The people from the Giant Beast Academy stepped on the ground. Following a flash of light, a dark cloud covered the sky. Several giant bear beast spirits covered the people from the Giant Beast Academy. Chang Yuan chuckled, "It's just a beast mystic technique. Watch me, mystic technique, raging inferno wave." After shouting this, a ball of flame came out of Chang Yuan's mouth. With a sudden explosion, the flame hit one of the students from the Giant Bear Academy. The flame hit the chi shield of the Giant Bear Academy student. Even with the giant bear's strength superimposed, he still took 2 steps back. Not good, Old 7 used up a lot of his mystic energy. If another attack comes, he definitely won't be able to take it. In an instant, the flame hit the chi shield. Old 7 was sent flying and slid to the ground. Bloody scars appeared on Old 7's sturdy body. Ji Yu took a step forward. At this moment, the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm was completely released. A terrifying mystic energy pressure spread over. It was suppressing everyone present. The people from the Sacred Hall frowned. They didn't expect that this Ji Yu was actually in existence at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. They raised their heads and said to the leader, "Leader, this person is really too scary." The person in front of them said indifferently, "Last night, I already returned to the Sacred Hall and received the Mystic Master's inheritance." After hearing this, they said in admiration, "Could it be that leader has already broken through to the mortal profound realm? That's natural." Ju Buping took a step forward, cupped his hands and said indifferently, "We admit defeat." Seeing such a valiant team of students, the team that was fighting against Ji Yu chose to surrender one after another. Only then did the people from the Sacred Hall lift up their robes. They only saw the leader release the mystic energy on his body. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from his original spot. His body released a powerful mystic energy that covered everyone present. Ji Yu raised her head to look, and the corner of her mouth revealed a trace of a smile. At this moment, the 2 mystic energies silently collided. A puny spirit profound realm wants to resist the might of my mortal profound realm? The oppressive aura made it hard for everyone present to breathe. Chapter 593. The 2 powerful mental energies collided with each other. The surrounding crowd felt as if they were being pressed down by a huge palm. They did not expect the mental energy of the human profound realm to be so powerful. To break through this situation, Ji Yu had to make the first move. He disappeared from his original spot, and when he reappeared, he was already standing on the stage. He pulled out the Warhound sword and swung it heavily. The flames on both sides of the Warhound sword produced a ball of fire at this moment. When the giant sword fell, a loud bang was heard. "You want to break my defensive chi shield with this little sword of yours?" He waved his hands and a ball of purple profound light quickly gathered in his hands. With the strength of the human profound realm, there was no need to wait for a profound skill to be released. That ball of purple profound light bombarded down. Chang Yuan and the Ning brothers stepped forward and released the profound energy in their hands. The 2 powerful profound energy collided with each other. At this moment, the Ning brothers were sweating profusely and were panting. Ji took a step forward as a powerful burst of profound energy erupted from his fists. Cloud Extinction Fist Technique. Ding, the host used Cloud Extinction Fist Technique. Obtained experience points of 1 by 999. Ji's attack broke through the two colliding profound energy. In the blink of an eye, a demonic wind was produced. The demonic wind blew gently at this moment. Cloud Extinction Fist Technique increased the damage according to the strength of the user's profound energy. Ji was now at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. Cloud Extinction Fist Technique received more than 50 levels of enhancement. A loud rumbling sound was heard. The profound energy fluctuation dispersed in all directions. The surrounding people were affected by this wave of profound energy and took a few steps back. The two of them looked at each other. A few elders were also watching this match. It seems that Shun Yu has already obtained the inheritance. That's right. Yesterday, the palace master suddenly returned late at night and brought Shun Yu into the secret chamber. That's how a human profound realm cultivator appeared. But the palace master is now at the 7th level of the human profound realm. Haha, of course. After the human profound realm, every level was a world. Because of this collision, Chang Yuan and the big and small Ning brothers started to bleed from their backs. Ji took a step forward and struck out with the Cloud Extinction Fist Technique again. With the power of thunder, she took the lead. Shen Yu's mind raced. Later, I will stop that Ji. They are just a bunch of puny cultivators around the 5th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. As long as we get rid of his helpers, we will form an alliance. Then, what ability does he have to fight against us? As soon as he said those words, the crowd around him immediately disappeared. The array master was the first to step forward. Mystic skill, Tungtung Evergreen. At this moment, countless vines covered the sky, forming a dense forest. Well done, Zhong Xiaowu. The students of Temple Academy began to shout, Temple Academy, Temple Academy. While they were shouting, the vines in the air suddenly turned into long snakes, slithering towards Chang Yuan and the others. Chang Yuan snorted coldly. Profound skill, Endless Sea of Fire. The Sea of Fire suddenly collided with the vines. An inexplicable heat spread throughout the scene. Originally, this move was our fatal move. Unfortunately, my vines only become more threatening after coming into contact with the flames. Zhong Xiaowu's voice fell. The vines slowly fell at this moment. Ji had just raised the Warhound's giant sword in his hand, but Shun Yu appeared in front of him. Why, do you want to help others? Your opponent is me. Shun Yu's hands formed a sword and turned into a long spear. The long spear suddenly stabbed towards Ji. He raised his hand and blocked the long spear in front of him. The giant sword fell into the opponent's Qi Gang. The Qi Gang had just touched Ji-Yu's giant sword and gradually absorbed the power on it. The corners of Ji-Yu's mouth curled into a smile. There was a green gas in the giant sword that gradually integrated into his body. At this moment, the giant sword was absorbed by the Qi Gang. Shen Yu felt that there was something strange about his body. A peak 6th grade Shen beast with its own starlight poison will become your nightmare. As his Shen Qi circulated, the Shen Qi in his body constantly collided. The green Shen Qi collided at this moment. The green gas flowed through Shen Yu's body. At this time, the meridians in his body also turned into green light. His meridians kept pulsating. Then, he kept shouting. The more he resisted with his Shen Qi, the stronger the backlash. Ji took advantage of this opportunity and threw a heavy punch. The two Shen Qi intertwined. As if the Shen Qi had backfired, the two were sent flying at the same time. Ji raised the giant sword in his hand and walked in front of him. With a swing of the sword, he cut off his right hand. Seeing Ji break Shen Yu's array, Chang Yuan immediately shouted. Jiao Luo. A green light was released from Jiao Luo's hand. The two from the Temple Academy had disdainful smiles on their faces. A support-type Shen cultivator? After he said this, he never expected that two people would appear in front of him right after. The Ning brothers had already arrived in front of them. Humph, Do you think you're the only ones with support-type Shen cultivators? Holy light illumination. After the profound practitioners shouted these words, holy light instantly enveloped the area where they were standing. When the two people were illuminated by the holy light, they gradually raised their heads. The two of them stood together at the same time. Two Shen Qi burst out at this moment. Whirlwind thunder. The tornado blew over like a bolt of lightning, blowing in front of the two Ning brothers. Lightning blew out from the whirlwind. At the same time, the Ning brothers grabbed the sharp claws in their hands. They resisted the whirlwind. Lightning kept flashing out from the whirlwind and thunder. Like a bolt of lightning, it struck down. At this moment, the Ning brothers were also sent flying. They glided on the ground and rolled 2.5 times. Jiyu Jaluo released her Shen Qi on them. Looking at the two on the ground, Jiyu Jaluo exerted strength in her legs and in a flash, she was already in front of the two from Temple Academy. She rubbed her leg and kicked, sending them flying into the air. 8 breaking kick. At this moment, she continuously attacked the two's weakest acupoints. They fell to the ground. Zhong Xiaowu looked at the falling person and his eyes widened. You must die. He spread his hands. Suddenly, countless vines surged and rushed in Jiyu Jaluo's direction. She was wrapped up by the vines. Jiyu Jaluo could only let out a shout before she was drowned in the vines. Jiyu's eyes turned red. Kill. As she shouted, she disappeared. In the blink of an eye, Jiyu appeared in front of them. She suddenly waved her sword and stabbed into the opponent's body. Zhong Xiaowu's dantian exploded. At this moment, the vines also disappeared. Jiyu carried Jiyu Jaluo back to the academy and put her on the bed. Jiyu reached out and covered Jiyu Jaluo's body with her mental strength. Jiyu Jaluo could only feel a warm feeling coming from her body. Jiyu did not expect that Jiyu Jaluo's attack would break 3 of her meridians. It was wishful thinking for her to break through in this lifetime. Jiyu was furious. Jiyu Jaluo was an auxiliary-type Shen practitioner. She had worked so hard to achieve what she had today. The more she thought about it, the angrier Jiyu became. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared. The speed of the 3,000 clouds was unstoppable. In the inn next to the square, a few elders had just walked out of the inn. I'm afraid that Shen Yu's arm will never be reattached in this lifetime. And there's an unknown poison in her body. How should we explain this to the temple master? Why don't we ask for the antidote from that brat and then break his meridians? This way, we'll have an explanation. Just as everyone was thinking about this, they suddenly felt a gust of wind in front of them. After this gust of wind passed, Jiyu was already standing in front of that brat. She raised the warhound's great sword in her hand and slashed down heavily. Once again, Jiyu disappeared on the spot. That afternoon, a few elders came to the academy. Seeing the elders, the guards did not dare to stop them. They went straight to Jiyu's dormitory. This little friend. The leading elder said politely, I wonder if you can give us the antidote. I'm sorry, I don't have a way to cure the poison on my sword. The 2 elders behind the leading elder each took a step forward and stared fiercely at Jiyu in front of them. Brat, I think you're courting death. After saying this, the profound energy in his body was released. 8th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. 3 experts at the 8th level of the Spirit Profound Realm stood in front of Jiyu. They were confident that even if Jiyu was an expert at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm, so what? After all, she was not an expert who had stepped into the human profound realm, and even if she was, it didn't matter. Didn't Jiyu also defeat the human profound realm's Chen Yu? Jiyu said indifferently, do you think that you have the ability to fight across levels? His voice was very soft, but in a moment, the entire place was enveloped by the aura of death. Looking at this terrifying aura, they all took a step back. Jiyu said indifferently, die. Suddenly, 18 golden beams of light flashed and 18 golden-bodied puppets flew out. Wielding their own prized artifacts, they stabbed the 3 elders. If it weren't for the protection of their own protective astral energy, the 3 elders would have died long ago. The 3 of them protected their arms. Impossible, How can you have such terrifying strength? The three of you, I'm not in a good mood today. If you dare to take another step forward, don't blame me for being impolite. Chapter 594. The elders glanced at each other. Jiyu's body emitted a green light. Looking at the green light on his body, the three elders slowly retreated. Brat, when our great elder returns, we'll definitely teach you a lesson. Brothers, let's retreat. After they finished speaking, they turned around and disappeared on the spot. Jiyu Jaluor's body was much better. The three elders returned to the inn. As soon as they opened the door, they saw Shinyu with his head chopped off. Their eyes widened as they staggered back to the sacred hall. A huge crystal floated in the air. The three elders knelt on the ground at the same time and cut a drop of blood on their hands. The blood merged into the crystal in front of them. A human face appeared in the crystal. How is it? Reporting to Hall Master, Shinyu is dead. What? Suddenly, a trace of cold air came out of the hall and covered the entire hall. They looked at each other. Hall Master, the one who defeated Shinyu was a cultivator at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm, so our protection was not good enough. The human face in the crystal snorted. Didn't this Hall Master give him the inheritance a few days ago? Hearing this, one of the elders knelt on the ground. Presumably, he is not familiar with the strength of the human profound realm. Yes, order him to hand over the inheritance. In addition, we will open the sacred hall's path tomorrow. At that time, this hall master will personally preside over it. As for the person who defeated him, I will meet him. The next day, following the 3 rings of the bell, everyone walked out of their rooms one after another without even having time to put on their clothes. Yesterday's competition ended too suddenly. Even the Champions Award ceremony had not been held yet. Today, the Land of Inheritance was about to open. Everyone wanted to see how extraordinary the champion, the powerhouse from Zhongju Advanced Mystic Academy, was. Looking at Jiyu and the others, everyone present looked at them with envy. Zhongju Advanced Mystic Academy is indeed worthy of being the champion. What a handsome young man. The people around him nodded in agreement. Look at the leader. Her name is Jiyu. She's only 18 years old, but she's already so heroic. She's really admirable. Exactly. Everyone below the stage praised Jiyu. Chang Yuan and the Ning brothers, who were following behind Jiyu, saw them and took a deep breath. Suddenly, a full moon appeared in the sky. Everyone gathered under the full moon. A black-robed man slowly floated down from the full moon. He stood on the arena. The commoners present, as well as the students from the various academies, all knelt down. Currently, the Mystic Master Temple was the final destination of all profound practitioners, although there were also various large sects. However, they also needed the approval of the Mystic Master Temple before they could become true Mystic Masters. And this authority originally belonged to the Eastern Region Empire. However, the 5 great founders of the Mystic Master Temple had led over 100 peak spirit profound realm experts to the Eastern Region Imperial family, forcing the Imperial family to separate the profounder lineage from the Imperial family. Greetings, Xian King. The peak of the 7th level of the human profound realm could be called Xian King. He said indifferently, this year's champion has already been born. Therefore, you will be the lucky ones to enter the Land of Inheritance. However, the Land of Inheritance is extremely dangerous, and whether you can obtain any opportunities will depend on your own luck. A ray of dim light shone on everyone present. Everyone felt as if they were being absorbed by an indescribable profound energy. The Xian King looked at the disappearing group of people from the Central Capital Academy and thought to himself, if you still have the chance to come back, then this king will take you under my banner. But if you don't come back, then it just so happens that I have avenged my disciple. In the blink of an eye, the light disappeared. Jiyu, Chang Yuan, and the others appeared in a dense forest. Chang Yuan took out a map from his storage ring, only to see that their current location was already in the depths of the forest. The Land of Inheritance was the place where the ancient Almighty had fallen. When they fell, they used their blood to form the sea, their hair to form the forest, and the various microscopic insects on their bodies to become mountain spirits and ghosts. After so many years of changes, this forest had already given birth to many profound beasts. Everyone, be careful. Another ray of light flashed, followed by another ray of light. Zhong Xiaowu and his classmates appeared one after another. Ji Yu said indifferently, "It's you guys. What right do you have to be here?" The array master walked out and said to Ji Yu, "We are the direct disciples of the Shen King. But on this journey, why don't we become allies?" Ji Yu frowned. "Allies? That's right. It's said that there are people who came here in search of opportunities, but they couldn't get out. Some died here, while others survived here. So there should be others here. Isn't it the best choice for us to work together?" Ji Yu said indifferently, "Even if I did that to your captain." "That's right." After hearing this, Ji Yu's brows relaxed. After all, he had personally chopped off Zhong Xiaowu's arm. "Okay." The array master nodded, "That's true. Since that's the case, why don't we introduce ourselves? I am a 5th grade array master, Wen. That was my fake name before. I am a combat mystic, 6th grade of the spirit profound realm, Wang Fang." Suddenly, the young master of the Ning family laughed out loud. He pointed at Wang Fang and said with a smile, "Your father raised you as a girl, didn't he?" Wang Fang clenched her fists, but under the threat of Ji Yu's gaze, she didn't dare to say anything. "I am Wang Fang's brother, Wang Ergu. What kind of names are these? I am a support mystic, 6th level of the spirit profound realm, Cao Yang." After everyone had introduced themselves, Ji Yu let the Ning family members introduce themselves. Then, they walked into the deep forest. According to the map, as long as they headed north, they would be able to find clues to the Hall of Inheritance. Even with Ji Yu's mental strength, she was unable to explore this world completely. From the looks of it, there were at least 10 almighty beings that had fallen here. The power of inheritance here should be enough for the few of us to share. However, we still have to get through here first. After saying this, Ji Yu suddenly felt a gust of wind blowing in front of her. The Ning brothers instantly felt a chill in their hearts, as if something was approaching them. Ji Yu Jaluo clenched her fists. This time, she didn't have any hopes of receiving the inheritance. If it wasn't for Ji Yu dragging her along, she would have given up. She had already made up her mind to use her mystic energy to increase their speed. Then, she would stay until the end and fight for a chance for everyone to leave. In an instant, an intense white mystic light enveloped the ground. The saber-toothed leopard walked out and stared fiercely in the direction of Ji Yu and the others, as if it was looking at delicious food. Wang Fang and the others saw that the situation was not good and immediately shouted, "This is a 7th-level mystic beast. Every step a mystic beast takes, it needs years to replenish its mystic energy. How can there be a 7th-level mystic beast here?" Cao Yang wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. It must be the remnant mystic energy released by the inner core of the almighty beings here when they fell. It must have been absorbed by these mystic beasts. That's why they have such terrifying strength. Wang Ergu asked, "Then what should we do now?" Everyone immediately looked at each other. The best way to avoid this disaster was to get out of here, which was to run for their lives. However, in this situation, where could they escape to? Everyone suddenly became silent. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning burst out in the sky. It was as if a storm was raging. It fell on the ground in front of everyone. They all looked up. This scene was simply like the arrival of a god. Ji Yu held a giant sword in one hand and stood in front of everyone. Chang Yuan, use the fire attribute skill. Wen, use your vines to bind it. Jiao Luo, use your support skills at the same time as Cao Yuan. Everyone followed Ji Yu's instructions and coordinated with each other, forming a new team. Another bolt of lightning fell. Mystic skill, exploding heavenly thunder. Ji Yu activated her mystic skill this time. When she was fighting with Zhong Xiaowu, Ji Yu had already comprehended his exploding heavenly thunder. Under the lightning, scorched earth was everywhere. The saber-toothed leopard was also struck by the lightning and its body emitted a scorched earth smell. Obviously, Jiyu's attack had thoroughly provoked the saber-toothed leopard's anger. It raised its head. Mystic beasts also had their own mystic skills. It gathered mystic energy in its mouth. Roar. It let out an angry roar. Cao Yang said anxiously, "Not good, the saber-toothed leopard's roar has a mystic energy that can penetrate a person's soul." They all sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, the powerful mystic energy and mental strength quickly penetrated Jiyu's body. If it was an ordinary person, their soul would have been penetrated by the saber-toothed leopard. But he was not an ordinary person. He was Jiyu. He gathered his mystic energy in his fist. Ding, the host used the cloud extinction fist technique. Obtained 1 by 999 experience points. Looking at Jiyu, the saber-toothed leopard's fist came crashing down. The saber-toothed leopard wanted to escape, but it did not expect that its feet would be completely bound by the vines. The fist danced and a huge bump appeared on the saber-toothed leopard's head. After the saber-toothed leopard was beaten, it looked at the person in front of it with fear. It let out a low growl and slowly walked in front of Jiyu, as if it was begging for mercy. Chapter 595. Jiyu walked up to it and patted its head. It stopped moving and started to roll on its stomach like a kitten. Jiyu scratched it. Chang Yuan and the rest had already seen how powerful Jiyu was, so they didn't think much of it. But in the eyes of Cao Yang and the rest, it was no different from a god descending to the mortal world. Mystical beasts were arrogant existences. You could kill them, but you could never subdue them. But now, not only did Jiyu subdue it, she also made it extremely obedient. In fact, what the crowd didn't know was that Jiyu's body was supported by the power of the dragon bloodline. When she threw out a punch, the small razor-fanged leopard felt the noble aura of the dragon clan. That was why this scene happened. Is she still human? She actually defeated the razor-fanged leopard with one blow and made it obedient. This is simply an unbelievable existence. Just as the people from the divine temple were still lamenting over Jiyu's power, another roar came from the deep forest. When the razor-fanged leopard heard this roar, it immediately stood up and ran away in panic. Wen looked ahead with vigilance. "It's not as good as us." Jiyu shouted indifferently, "Let's go up and take a look." "What?" Wen felt that Jiyu had lost his mind. He was chasing after a mystical beast from such a long distance away. Who knew how powerful the mystical beasts were? This was no different from sending himself to his death. But just as he was about to retort, Jiyu had already left with Chang Yuan and the rest. They were confident that they didn't have Jiyu's strength, so they could only follow Jiyu to take a look first. Ding. Host has taken a step, 3000 clouds movement has gained experience, 1 by 999 times. Jiyu crossed a few hundred meters of the forest. In the middle of a large grassland, a peak Xian beast that looked like a chimpanzee was continuously patting its chest. On its neck, there was a small circle, which seemed to be a treasure that suppressed the chimpanzee's Xian energy. A woman in a black dress, holding 2 long swords, stood opposite the gorilla. In front of her were a dozen men in black robes. "Miss, it's useless even if you run. This place has already been surrounded by us. Moreover, we have the king of the Xian beasts in this deep forest in our hands, the raging fire guardian. Junior sister, if you obey me, I will definitely release you." Only then did Jiyu look in the direction of that woman. She only felt that this woman's face was so young and tender, but also so devilishly charming. "Senior brother, don't even think about it." Jiyu moved. Wen knew that Jiyu was going to meddle in other people's business. Hence, he pulled Jiyu back. "Brother Ji, don't meddle in other people's business. These people must have stayed here many years ago in search of opportunities, and their strength must not be below yours or mine." Jiyu snorted coldly. "Then you can stay here yourself, brother Wen. Jiyu Jialuo pursed his lips. He wondered if Jiyu had interfered because of the woman's youth and beauty. In truth, Jiyu merely felt a sense of familiarity from the woman, but he wasn't sure where that feeling came from. He led the Zhongdu Academy group in front of the black-clothed girl and extended his sword. What's so great about bullying a woman with so many people? Immediately, the dozen men in black all looked in Ji-Yu's direction. Their leader, the one whom the black-clothed girl called senior brother, smiled disdainfully. Where did this rotten fish come from, daring to meddle in our sky demon cult's business? Ji-Yu Jaluo tugged at Ji-Yu and whispered in his ear. This girl is one of them, which means she's also a member of the sky demon cult. Brother Shifu, you better not interfere in this matter. What righteous villain? In my opinion, it's just the world's prejudice. Ji-Yu couldn't care less. If he wanted to protect someone, Ji-Yu wouldn't be able to do so. When everyone heard this, they all looked at Ji-Yu. The black-clothed girl also had a good impression of Ji-Yu. This one is Hey Bao. If you don't interfere in this matter, I have a dark pill here that can help you leave this forest without a trace. How about it? No need to be so polite, I'll take it myself later. What difference was there between Ji-Yu's words and saying that she would rob him later? Hey Bao clenched his fists. Brat, I advise you not to meddle in other people's business. Seeing that there were so many people on Ji-Yu's side, he couldn't help but have a bad feeling. The people from Temple Academy looked at each other. This Ji-Yu was really too good at causing trouble. If they stayed by his side, they might not even know how they died. So Hey Bao clenched his fists. He said to Ji-Yu, Brother Ji-Yu, we don't know how many inheritances there are. Now that there are so many people on both sides, and it's been proven that there are still many forces in the land of inheritance. This one will take his leave first. He glanced at the few brothers beside him. When, I bid you farewell. Ergo thanks Ji Gongzi for saving my life. I hope there will be a chance to repay him. The people from Temple Academy all cupped their hands. Ji-Yu smiled faintly. You people from Temple Academy all have such high-end names. I thought you were good people who only appeared once in 100 years. Now it seems that I overestimated you. Scram. Hearing Ji-Yu's words, everyone felt uncomfortable in their hearts. But right now, they didn't have any strength to resist Ji-Yu, so they could only say goodbye and walk forward under Wenwen's lead. Brother Hey Bao, we are not from the same faction. We have decided not to meddle in this matter. I wonder if we can leave this place. Hey Bao had long wanted them to fall apart, so that he could make a move. Now that he didn't have to do anything, Ji-Yu's side was already in a deadlock, it was a good thing. So he smiled knowingly. Young master is too polite, please go ahead. After saying that, Hey Bao divided the Shenming pellets into several pieces and threw them to Wen and the others. After receiving the Shenming pellets, they flew away. Hey Bao used his mental power to sense their existence. After confirming that they had left, they all raised their heads. Hey Bao took a step forward and slowly said to Ji-Yu in front of him, I'm sorry, young master, I take back what I said just now. You can't leave, but if you bring the girl behind you and my junior sister over, I can still let you live. Ji-Yu frowned. Ji-Yu Jaluo was nervous. Could it be that master would hand her over? She was a little scared and pulled Ji-Yu's sleeve tightly. Ji-Yu said faintly, it's still daytime, but you're already dreaming? You don't know what's good for you, go. The 10 or so people under Hey Bao all rushed forward. Mystical skill, nether holy light. They suddenly turned into a black light, and more than 10 black fog flew in the direction of the crowd. It collided with the Qi gang. Except for Ji-Yu, the rest of the people's Qi gang broke at this time. Ji-Yu said faintly, Chang Yuan's inferno mystical skill, use the flames to cover them. Chang Yuan received Ji-Yu's order. Okay. After saying this, he took a step forward and a ball of fire appeared in his dantian. Mystical skill, raging flames burning the heavens. Right after he shouted those words, the raging flames started to spread. In an instant, the entire prairie turned into a sea of flames. Those dozen or so people once again revealed their true forms from the black fog. They could only feel that there were bad burn marks on their bodies. Blood suddenly appeared on their bodies and they fell to the ground. The Ning brothers were using the beast mystical skill, and in a flash, 2 pairs of sharp claws appeared. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared from their original position and in the next moment, they appeared. In the blink of an eye, the 2 of them had already arrived on top of the 10 people. Although they had been here for a long time, they had not received a high increase in mystic energy. In addition, the mystic energy here was gradually thinning, so these people of the heavenly demon cult did not have much progress. The heavenly demon cult also had a way to enter the land of inheritance, but the Holy Temple had never announced it to the outside world. These disciples of the heavenly demon cult did not have enough mystic energy now. In the blink of an eye, the Ning brothers had already pierced their bodies with their claws. Blood flowed out continuously at this time, and they fell into a pool of blood one after another. Seeing how the Ning brothers dealt with them so easily, Heibao frowned and said faintly, "You dare to kill so many of our brothers." After shouting out these words, Li Yundong was stunned. Heibao stretched out his hand, and the mystic energy in his hand suddenly produced a strong suction force. The circle on the raging fire guardian's neck suddenly lit up. It patted its chest with both fists, stood up directly, and stomped on the ground. Suddenly, there was a tremor in the sky. It stomped like a crazy dog. It suddenly pounced in Chang Yuan's direction. Chang Yuan was an existence at the peak of the 6th level of the spirit profound realm. He took a step forward, and in the blink of an eye, he stretched out his hands, and the muscles on his hands suddenly became bigger. In addition, there was a ball of fire in his fists. Both fists swung out, and heavily collided with the raging fire guardian's fists. Under the collision of the fists, a strong hurricane blew to both sides. Ji Yu was not affected at all, but the Ning brothers and the others took 2 steps back. With a loud crack, Chang Yuan flew out, and many of the bones in his arms seemed to have been broken. Ji Yu frowned, and raised the warhound giant sword in her hand. This was not comparable to the sharp-toothed fierce leopard. Chapter 596. The raging inferno Vaja looked at Ji Yu, who had released all her profound energy. It realized that it was able to discover Ji Yu, who was its greatest enemy. The raging inferno Vaja walked towards Ji Yu with a trace of vigilance in its eyes. It hammered its hands on the ground and jumped up. Heibao laughed wildly and waved his sleeves. "Ha ha ha, under this attack, I'm afraid that even if you are at the peak of the spirit profound realm, you will become a meat patty." "Ji Yu! Master! Brother Ji!" Everyone gave a loud roar as Ji Yu suddenly raised the warhound's giant sword in his hand. Ding! The host has waved the huge sword and gained experience points, 1 by 999. Ji Yu's EXP bar had skyrocketed. Ji Yu could feel the power in his hands increasing. With a roar, he swung his sword forward. At this moment, a huge military dog seemed to appear in the huge sword and roared at the sky. Behind the huge dog, there was a long green snake. It suddenly widened its eyes and a layer of green light covered the surroundings of the huge sword. Under the powerful explosion, the surrounding power gradually flew in all directions. The raging inferno Vaja's punch just now could have the power of destruction, but they did not expect that they would raise their fists and hit it with a heavy punch. Under the collision of the fists, they were sent flying backwards. When they saw this scene, they raised their heads. Ji Yu took a step forward. The power of the dog soul and the snake soul in her body increased greatly. The snake soul spread from the raging inferno Vaja's feet to its neck and broke the collar in one bite. The dog soul also slowly stepped out from the other direction. It hit the Vaja's body. The Vaja took a step back, but it shook its hand and slapped the soul away. But this was just Ji Yu's trick. Ji Yu was now in front of the Vaja with the huge sword in her hand. Profound skill, burning wave sword technique. In an instant, hundreds of warhound giant swords appeared in the air. Under the continuous superposition of the attack power, it had formed a huge attack power. The raging inferno Vaja did not dare to be careless and drew out all the power in its body. He swung his fist heavily, and the 2 Xian energies collided together at this moment. A loud rumbling sound was heard. The raging inferno Vaja was sent flying, drawing 2 deep scratches on the ground. After retreating dozens of steps, it raised its head. Ji Yu said faintly, "Bastard, get the hell out of here." After hearing Ji Yu's words, the raging inferno Vaja reached out his hand and touched his neck. After feeling this powerful force, he turned around and ran in another direction. "You You actually dared to release my raging inferno Vaja? He clenched fists in his hands hound Vaja. The girl in the black dress said indifferently, Humph, this raging inferno Vaja was captured at the cost of the lives of the top 10 masters of our heavenly demon cult. When they heard this, they turned their heads, and a ball of evil fire appeared in their hearts. He then slowly opened his mouth and said, Ha ha ha, before the elder died, he entrusted you to me. I just want to marry you, so what's the big deal? Anyway, we can't leave this damned place. Hei Bao's words were full of anger. Jiyu had lost patience with him. Noisy. Hei Bao roared, Go to hell. A black shadow appeared on his body and he disappeared on the spot. Jiyu's mental strength covered the spot and felt the other party gradually approaching. Jiyu suddenly turned around and waved the warhound giant sword in her hand. Immediately, a bloody wound appeared on the other party's body. Blood immediately gushed out from the wound. Jiyu took a step forward and cut the other party's neck with the long sword. He walked in front of Chang Yuan and the others, took out a jade screen from his storage ring, and put the pills into their mouths. Their bodies were recovering bit by bit. However, the pills in Jiyu's hand could not heal such a huge wound. He still needed a kind of herb, but he sensed that there was no herb on this mountain. At this moment, the girl in the black dress said, Are you an alchemist? Jiyu nodded. The girl in the black dress said, I know where it is, come with me. Jiyu got a carriage of Hei Bao and the others and sent the girl to the carriage. Do I know you? The girl said, I also feel what you feel, but I don't know you. The smell on your body. Suddenly, Jiyu thought of something. What's your relationship with the dragon clan? What? The smell on your body, could it be that it also comes from? The two of them spoke at the same time. Calamity Dragon of Desolation. Calamity Dragon of Desolation. So that was the case. No wonder Jiyu could sense Xiao Gu's aura from the girl. Who exactly are you? The girl became very vigilant. Jiyu said indifferently, I am her man. The divine dragon is actually with a human? She did not dare to believe this. Jiyu said indifferently, that is the truth. When we get out, I will take you to see her. However, Xiao Jiyu knows nothing about her background, I don't know what you know. The girl said indifferently, Your name is Jiyu? Yes. They all call me Heavenly Sound Demonis, but you can call me Heavenly Sound in private. Jiyu smiled, that's a nice name. The Heavenly Sound Witch's body trembled. Do you say this to every girl? No, I just feel that your name is nice. The Heavenly Sound Demonis blushed, then I will tell you on the way. After saying this, Jiyu sent Chang Yuan and the others to the carriage, and said to Jiyu Jialuo, I am sorry, there is only one carriage, so I will have to trouble you to take care of the horses. No problem. Jiyu Jialuo patted her chest and said proudly, Master, leave it to me. However, Master, you should stay away from that demonis. Jiyu laughed, Are you jealous? I am not jealous, I know that Master likes me, right? After saying this, Jiyu Jialuo threw herself into Jiyu's arms. She slowly raised her head, and her eyes were like the moon, gradually approaching Jiyu. At this moment, the two people's lips gradually approached each other. Chapter 597. After tasting Zhu Dan's red lips, Jiyu slowly moved away and patted her little butt. When we return, Master will properly teach you a profound martial art. When she heard that she could learn a profound martial art, she wriggled her body excitedly. Master, what kind of powerful martial art are you going to teach your disciple? Jiyu moved closer to her ear, and a hot feeling spread from her ear to her entire body. When Jiyu said 3 words, the Heavenly Sound Witch's face reddened. I'm going to die, Master. It's just a dual cultivation technique, the unrivaled bedroom technique. A sweet smile appeared on Jiyu's face as she watched the little girl flee in panic. He turned his head and walked in another direction. When they returned to the carriage, the Heavenly Sound Witch came forward curiously. This little girl was wearing thin clothes, and a beautiful scenery entered Jiyu's eyes. The Heavenly Sound Witch was curious about what Jiyu was looking at, so she shyly pushed Ji-yu. "What are you looking at?" Ji-yu smiled and said indifferently, "Then you can tell me now." Originally, the heavenly demon cult was the reincarnation of the Calamity Dragon. However, they never expected that one day, the people of the Divine Temple would join forces and launch an attack on the heavenly demon cult and several other cults at the same time. They were all cults established by the various protector cults. However, because of their name, cultivation techniques, and the people they wanted to protect, they became evil cults. In an instant, they attacked the cults in front of them. The Calamity Dragon had the ability to destroy the world, but it couldn't withstand the schemes of humans. Soon, the Calamity Dragon race was left with 3 giant dragons, and one of them was Xiao Ji-yu, who followed Ji-yu. Ji-yu said indifferently, "What happened after that?" "After that?" Later, one of the Calamity Dragons of Desolation took the remaining people and fled to the Eastern Region Empire, but under the pursuit, they scattered. So that was the case. No wonder Xiao Ji-yu didn't seem to remember anything when he found her. The carriage wobbled as it arrived at a city. There are cities here as well. This is the obsession of the people in the Empire of the Eastern Region. Many people settled down here after they sensed that they were hopeless. Later on, more and more people came in, so it became a small world. Ji-yu felt that something was strange, but there was a murderous aura in this city. As they are unable to obtain the power of inheritance, their profound strength is unable to increase. Therefore, there is basically no one who can manage this city. There are countless cities like this in this world. After leaving this city, head east and you will enter Death Valley. It is said that only after passing through Death Valley can you obtain clues to the Land of Legacy. Ji-yu nodded. When they arrived at the city, there were several dead people lying on the ground. However, no one pitied these people, as if they didn't exist. Ji-yu came in front of one of the people and gently touched his face. She said indifferently, "This person was killed by a joint effort." However, at this moment, more than 10 black-robed people walked over. This is the city of killers, but the area inside is a safe zone built by the 10 strongest people. However, there is no such thing as an absolute safe zone in this world. Haha, thank you for the reminder. After entering the safe zone, Ji-yu discovered that there was a small city here. In this city, everyone lived and worked in peace. Ji-yu found a doctor. He said, "Do you have white pigweed? 100 vermilion grass?" "This old man has it, but what are you going to use to return it?" The old man stroked his beard and looked at the heavenly sound witch and Ji-yu Jaluor with a lewd smile. Ji-yu took out a bag of gold coins. "Young master, don't joke around. Gold coins are useless here. When the 10 strongest people worked together to build the Palace of Gold, they were just building materials." Ji-yu said indifferently, "If gold coins are not enough, how about elixirs? If it's just elixirs that can increase strength, then don't open it." As soon as he finished speaking, Ji-yu put a bottle of Shen Defense elixir on the table. After taking the elixir, you can increase 1 level. Before the effect of the elixir disappears, you will have the strengthened Shen energy. Hearing this, the old man suddenly became excited. However, it was simply wishful thinking to want to exchange these elixirs for herbs that this world did not have. The old man said indifferently, "I don't just want the elixir, I also want the woman behind you." Ji-yu frowned and placed a long sword on his neck. After being hit by the huge sword, the person in front of her immediately knelt on the ground. The old man said, "You want to kill me here." Several black-robed men surrounded the door of the medical office. It seemed that as long as Ji-yu made a move, they would not hesitate to attack at the same time. Ji-yu was not that stupid. She said indifferently, "The safe zone only says that you can't kill people. It doesn't say that you can't hurt people. Do you want your meridians to be broken? As long as your meridians are broken, you won't have a chance to survive in this world." The old man rolled his eyes. "If you have the ability, then kill me." Ji-yu snorted and took out 6 bottles of elixirs, throwing them to the black-robed men. "Do it." After saying this, one of the black-robed men picked up the knife in his hand. With Ji-yu's elixirs, it was equivalent to having a chance to survive in this world. They were naturally willing to help Ji-yu. After killing the old man, Ji Yu took the elixir and threw the storage ring back to the black-robed man. Ji Yu said indifferently, "There are still many treasures in this city. In order to enter Death Valley, one must have a strong power. What power could compare to bringing the entire city's spirit profound realm people into Death Valley?" When Ji Yu thought of this, she thought for a moment. He stood up and walked out in another direction. Her first target was one of the top 10 experts, Wang Qiong. Wang Qiong had the title of Killing God in this place, although he was only at the peak of the 7th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. But with the long knife in his hand, he had killed so many people. Ji Yu brought the heavenly sound witch to the front of a large hall. Chapter 598. In front of the main hall, several people were sitting on the ground and drinking from the wine in their hands. This underworld immortal wine is getting more and more delicious. Not bad, the taste is incomparably sweet. It is indeed a rare delicacy in this world. Seeing Ji Yu and the others arrive, a black-clothed old man suddenly stood up. "Halt, don't you know where this is?" Ji Yu said indifferently, "I know, I'm here to find Wang Qiong." Hearing Ji Yu's words, everyone burst into laughter. "Are you here to seek protection or to throw away your life?" Ji Yu said indifferently, "This one is not talented, but I want to challenge Wang Qiong. In recent years, there are fewer and fewer profound practitioners who don't cherish their lives. That's right, everyone has already passed the season of massacre. Young master, although we are in this world, we might be able to leave in the future." Seeing that Ji Yu had already reached the spirit profound realm at such a young age, the black-clothed people couldn't help but feel a sense of appreciation for talent. Ji Yu said indifferently, "Thank you for your advice, but this one still wants to give it a try." Then, "Young master, please come in. Your friend can stay here." "Thank you." After speaking, Ji Yu glanced at the heavenly sound witch. "Wait for me here. Be careful, I was thinking that we might have a chance to leave, so I can meet the young master." Ji Yu nodded and walked into the main hall. This place was filled with the smell of blood. The person sitting on the seat stood up and a pair of wings grew out of his back. Facing Ji Yu, he said indifferently, "Are you here to seek protection?" "No, this one wants to spar with you." After shouting this, the eyes of the man sitting in the main hall turned red. "Then come." He took out a sword, and the artifact in his hand suddenly lit up. An incomparably foul smell of blood gradually spread over. It enveloped Ji Yu's body, but to be able to turn the murderous aura into a viscous red liquid proved Wang Qiong's strength. At this moment, the red liquid spread over and stuck to Ji Yu's hands. Ji Yu was rooted to the spot. At this moment, the surrounding red mist entered Ji Yu's body. A mystic light flashed. In the middle of a towering cliff, countless corpses cracked the ground. Countless corpses slowly crawled out from the ground. Their eyes were all scarlet. "Ji Yu, I will die. Ji Yu, I know you." Ji Yu looked at the faces in front of him. These were the people who had died under his hands. Ji Yu had already forgotten the names of some people. "I will die, is it so tragic?" A mocking smile appeared on Ji Yu's face. "Aren't you all courting death?" The people from the southern region gradually stood up and said calmly, "Ji Yu, you all died for the sake of the southern region empire. Don't you feel honored?" Following Ji Yu's words, the dark clouds in the sky suddenly shattered. He gradually disappeared from where he stood. Ji Yu stood up and said calmly, "Your sword of truth is very powerful." In many ancient records, the sword of truth was a sword technique created by various sects to interrogate their disciples. The sword mainly relied on the primordial spirit. Wang Qiong never expected that his sword of truth would not have any effect on Ji Yu. The second form of the sword of truth. Ordinary people would definitely not be able to resist the second form of the sword of truth. Although Ji Yu was able to break through his sword of truth in 3 short breaths, this time, even if Ji Yu could withstand his attack, he was confident that he could kill Ji Yu while she was distracted. But what he did not expect was that Ji Yu was not a fool. How could she just stand there and take his attack head-on? In the blink of an eye, Ji Yu disappeared. When she reappeared, she was already behind him. She raised the hilt of her sword and swung it down. A cracking sound could be heard. He fell to the ground. Wang Qiong did not expect that this move would be so easily countered by Jiyu, who even dealt him a blow. He immediately stood up, his eyes burning with rage. At this moment, a ball of raging fire suddenly appeared on his fists. "Kid, you must die today." He moved. Under the support of the art of blood, he became incomparably fast. Jiyu's 3000 clouds movement was even more abruptly activated. Ding, the host used 3000 clouds movement. Obtained 1 by 999 experience points. The two long swords collided continuously in the air. The speed of the two people was so fast that they turned into a red and a white light in the air. If there was anyone else who saw this scene, they would definitely be shocked. Jiyu stabilized her body after about 100 moves. She said lightly, "You're so weak." When she said that, Wang Qiong's eyes revealed a puzzled expression. He did not know why she said such a thing. Jiyu raised the profound strength in her body to the peak of the 8th level. "What? You're actually a spirit profound realm expert at the peak of the 8th level?" He took a deep breath and suddenly disappeared from where he was. In the next moment, he flew over. Wang Qiong wanted to use his strongest attack. He wanted to use this opportunity to kill Jiyu. Only in this way could he let Jiyu, an expert at the 8th level of the spirit profound realm, release her strength. The two forces collided once again. The person in front of him suddenly fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. "How is this possible? How is this possible?" He took a deep breath and said lightly, "My god-slaying saber technique actually has no effect on you." Jiyu held the warhound's great sword and walked in front of him. She raised the great sword in her hand. Looking at Jiyu in front of him, Wang Qiong looked over with resentment. He slapped the ground. He instantly stood up. The two forces of profound strength exploded in an instant. Suddenly, a mass of profound light gradually appeared in front of Wang Qiong. Wang Qiong spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiyu heavily chopped down with her sword. Wang Qiong's head was instantly separated from his body. Jiyu walked out of the main hall. A few black-clothed men looked at him and saw the blood on Jiyu's body. One of the black-clothed men said, "Little friend, how was your battle?" "Wang Qiong is dead. From today onwards, this god-slaying palace is mine." The god-slaying palace was built with gold coins. It looked extremely glorious. The rest of the black-clothed men were still in disbelief. They looked at each other. Chapter 599. Jiyu said indifferently, "Are you willing to surrender or what?" The black-clothed man laughed and said, "We only accepted Wang Qiong's kindness and agreed to be his gatekeepers. Now that he is dead, our kindness has been repaid. Naturally, we will leave. Take care. I see that you are all around the peak of the 7th level of the spirit profound realm." Jiyu took out a few bottles of pills and threw them into the man's hands. He said indifferently, "There are some pills in here. If you consume them according to the pills, you can increase your cultivation level in a short period of time. My goal is to unify this city and bring everyone to Death Valley." "What?" After hearing this, they took a deep breath. Jiyu actually wanted to bring them to Death Valley. Wasn't that sending them to their deaths? There was a look of disbelief in everyone's eyes. They looked at each other and said, "If that's the case, then we will follow." Jiyu asked for the information of the top 10 experts. Other than Wang Qiong, who was independent, the rest of them were in different factions and were even in an alliance. Jiyu had so many pills in his hands. He asked the men in black to take Jiyu's pills and spread the news everywhere, so that they could join Jiyu's plan. One of the men in black brought the pills and walked to the stage in the center of the plaza. "Everyone, I believe that everyone is tired of staying in this world." The onlookers echoed in agreement. "Yeah, I've been tired of staying here for a long time. Damn it, I've wanted to leave this damn place for a long time. Immortal Monarch, what plans do you have? Just tell us." These people were all top students from various sects or academies. Therefore, every one of them was smart and intelligent. because it was impossible to cultivate to such a high level just by relying on talent. The black-clothed man said indifferently, "Among us here, the strongest is only at the peak of the spirit profound realm. Naturally, once we step into the Death Valley, we will not be able to return. However, have you all thought about whether we can open the door to the future if we unite?" No one had thought of this before. This was because there was a person called Elder Heaven Scorpio who already possessed the strength of the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm. Even so, they quickly lost contact with the moment they entered Death Valley. Furthermore, his soul and profound energy had merged into this world. This proved that the demonic beasts or other things that existed in Death Valley were not things that they could deal with. Thinking of this, everyone was a little afraid. Cultivation was not easy, and no one was willing to waste their life for no reason. "Young master, you're wrong. If we were to enter Death Valley, wouldn't we be courting death? No, as long as we unite, we will definitely be able to protect him." Hearing this, everyone was a little moved. "This humble one has been ordered by my Tongtian to deliver the spirit pills and elixirs to all of you." Miraculous elixirs? Looking at the pill in the black-clothed man's hand, a faint fragrance came from it. This caused all of the profound practitioners to go slightly mad. Jiyu was standing in a restaurant not far from here. He did not expect that this restaurant would still exist no matter where he was. He was standing in the middle of the fence. "As long as the plan goes smoothly, we will have the strength to enter Death Valley." Hearing his words, the heavenly sound which beside him covered her mouth and laughed. "However, your title of Tongtian sect's Tongtian is truly too amazing. Isn't that so? You have to control your momentum well." The heavenly sound which looked at Jiyu, who had his hands behind his back. She did not know why, but this man's back made her feel a sense of closeness. Thus, she slowly walked out. Jiyu suddenly turned around. Just as he was about to say something, he discovered that the two of them were so close together. Their height was about the same, and they were so close together. When they looked at each other, the two of them were stunned. Jiyu extended his hand and pulled. After pulling Jiyu into his embrace, the heavenly sound which only knocked on his shoulder. She did not expect that Jiyu would actually take the initiative. Wouldn't this make her lose her prestige as a witch? Thus, the heavenly sound which returned to Jiyu's waist. With a turn of her body, she pressed Jiyu down in front of her. She heavily kissed Jiyu's mouth. After a moment, she released her mouth. "Remember, this lady was the one who took liberties with you." Jiyu touched his lips. Looking at the heavenly sound which skipping away, Jiyu could not help but smile. He disappeared from his original spot. In the blink of an eye, he appeared not far away. A clap of thunder descended. Everyone in the plaza raised their heads. Jiyu floated in the air. The profound strength of the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm was suddenly released from his body. Feeling the profound strength on Jiyu's body, they suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. Isn't this the profound strength of the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm? It's really too terrifying. There's actually such an expert here. Even compared to the head of the top 10 experts, this should be enough to fight. However, if a peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm enters Death Valley, only death awaits him. Everyone began to discuss in low voices. Jiyu said indifferently, "From what I see, there are at least 10,000 people in this city. Furthermore, the weakest among us is at the beginning of the 7th level of the spirit profound realm." Everyone nodded. Even if it's an 8th level profound beast in front of us, with the strength of 10,000 people, what can it do to us? Hearing this, everyone felt that Jiyu's words were very reasonable. They all nodded. Jiyu said indifferently, "If that's the case, then everyone should follow the original plan." Everyone bowed. "We are willing to follow young master to obtain the power of inheritance." However, everyone had a new idea in their minds. When they reached the land of inheritance, there would definitely be a bloodbath for the power of inheritance. Thinking of this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. At this moment, several carriages slowly came to the center of the plaza. A person came down from the carriage. Their eyes revealed a trace of killing intent. Looking at Ji-Yu's direction, he said indifferently, "Kill." After roaring this sentence, the remaining people slowly walked out and drew their swords from their bodies. More than 10 experts at the peak of the 8th level of the Spirit Profound Realm attacked at the same time. Ji-Yu appeared in front of everyone in a flash and used his own precious weapon to slash down heavily. Chapter 600. Ding. The host used the burning wave sword technique. Obtained 1 by 999 experience points. Along with this burst of incomparably explosive profound energy. In addition, the blazing flames on the ground burst out. Those 10 experts at the peak of the 8th level of the Spirit Profound Realm did not expect this result. When the flames completely enveloped them, they were swallowed up by the flames. Ji-Yu suddenly pulled his hand out of the flames. The profound energy in her hand suddenly activated. A loud rumbling sound was heard as the two profound energies collided together. The people in front of her were sent flying. They slid on the ground as the remaining people walked forward and placed their swords on their necks. With an expert like Ji-Yu holding the fort, their hearts that were hanging in the air were completely relaxed. The person in the carriage slowly said, "Tongtian's sect leader is indeed powerful. I wonder if you can follow us. Our palace master would like to meet you." When everyone heard this, they slightly frowned. Ji-Yu casually waved her hand. "No problem, then this sect leader will follow you." Ji-Yu followed the person in front of her and came to another large hall. She saw that there was a group of people in front of the large hall, but in this world, everyone was an expert, and there was no need to rely on anyone. However, it was not easy for them to gather so many people. As soon as Ji-Yu stepped into the hall, everyone in their seats stood up one after another. He said faintly, "Young master, may I know your name?" Ji-Yu lightly said, "Ji-Yu." "He, I heard from my subordinates that Ji Gongzi intends to unite the entire city to go to Death Valley. I wonder if that is true." Ji-Yu nodded. "All right, I am Li Bo. I am willing to help young master." Including me, there are a total of 4 experts standing on young master's side. However, there is another power in this city. He lightly opened his mouth and said, "That is the Chrysanthemum Alliance formed by the other 5 experts. It is said that the strongest among them has already reached the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. Furthermore, the people from the Chrysanthemum Alliance are people from ancient sects. They won't agree to your plan. What does young master plan to do?" Ji-Yu said indifferently, "That's too simple. Just walk into the hall and beat them up. Isn't that enough?" After hearing this sentence, the people around him opened their eyes wide. This Ji-Yu is really arrogant. Why don't you think about how strong you are? You actually dare to say such big words. Ji-Yu said lightly, "What do you think?" Profound strength at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm was released from his body. Everyone present had no choice but to activate their chi aura to defend themselves. Hearing his words, everyone looked at each other and said, "All right, if that's the case, then we will agree to young master's plan." The 4 experts followed Ji-Yu and arrived in front of the Sea King's palace. 5 figures instantly appeared in front of Ji-Yu. They slowly opened their mouths and said, "Halt. Who are you?" Each of the 5 people revealed a terrifying aura. When they saw this scene, they lightly opened their mouths and said, "Cheng Hao, this is Tongtian's sect leader. We have already joined his sect." The one who was called Cheng Hao laughed out loud. "Tongtian's sect leader, the one who sent everyone to Death Valley to their deaths." Ji-Yu lightly smiled, "That's me. Mph, brat, take this." Suddenly, a cold air came from the surroundings and directly approached Ji-Yu. Ji-Yu was able to kill an expert of the mortal profound realm. Naturally, he was not afraid of a mere expert of the 8th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Cheng Hao and grabbed his neck. At this moment, his fists gradually clenched. Cheng Hao did not expect that his protective chi would be broken in an instant. He lifted the person in front of him and heavily threw him to the ground, only to see a mouthful of blood spit out. Ji-Yu lightly said, "The 4 of you can come at me together." The aura on Ji-Yu's body was truly terrifying. The peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm expert pushed aside the people in front of him and lightly said, Ji Gongzi, I did not expect that there would be a peak 9th level expert in this world. Alright, today you and I will have a quick battle. The peak 9th level expert used the technique under his feet. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived in front of Ji. Suddenly, 18 black shadows appeared from Ji's hands. The 18 black shadows suddenly flew out. When the peak 9th level Spirit Profound Realm expert saw the black shadows in Ji's hands gradually approaching him, a trace of fear grew in his heart. What exactly is this thing? It actually made me feel a trace of fear. He suddenly retreated and swung the long sword in his hand. However, as the 18 black shadows approached, two waves of profound chi heavily collided, and a huge light screen flew out in all directions. The peak 9th level expert was actually forced to retreat by the 18 golden puppets. A trace of blood was at the corner of his mouth, and his eyes looked in the direction of Ji with hidden bitterness. He said indifferently, Brat, how dare you look down on me like this? Just as he was moving forward, 18 golden lights suddenly lit up. Only then did the peak 9th level expert realize that he was actually surrounded by Ji. These 18 golden lights turned into light pillars, and the head of the light pillars actually gathered together above the peak 9th level expert's head. Child's play. After roaring out these words, he heavily slammed his palm forward. He crashed into the golden pillar, and with a boom, he took 2 steps back. How could this profound chi be so terrifying? Ji lightly said, This golden light cage is a profound skill that I created. After saying this, they raised their heads and lightly said, Hurry up and release our brothers. After hearing this, Ji lightly smiled, I wonder if you are willing to accompany me to Death Valley. Everyone looked at each other. Seeing Ji's meaning, it seemed that if they did not agree, they would not have to die in Death Valley, but they would die in Ji's hands. Their hearts trembled. Even if they had reached this realm, they were still afraid of death. Hence, they opened their mouths and said, We will follow you. With the 10 great experts in charge, the remaining cities did not have any objections. Chapter 601. Death Valley was indeed worthy of being called the Death Valley. Everyone in the city had arrived in front of the Death Valley. The murderous aura inside seemed to have condensed into a skull. It opened its bloody mouth in the air. Cheng Hao was naturally timid. He cupped his hands towards Ji and said, Sect leader, should we send a group of people to check the road ahead? Ji shook her head and said, No, we should all go in together. If we send people out now and they don't come out, the people's hearts will be in chaos. But we still have to put on an act. After receiving Ji's order, a few people walked into the small path in Death Valley. They looked at the swaying ghost trees in front of them and didn't dare to take a step forward. After waiting for a while, they walked out into the territory. Sect leader, everything in front is fine. Ji naturally knew who they were and what they were doing inside. He waved his hand. He led the people around him into Death Valley. They saw that the surrounding trees had turned into demons. They didn't know when, but 2 pairs of blood-red eyes appeared on the tree trunks. Their strength was close to the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. However, all the experts above the 6th level of the Spirit Profound Realm were in the city. They treated it as a piece of cake. A group of experts at the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit Profound Realm took the lead and walked forward with weapons in their hands. They released their own profound skills in their hands. Accompanied by a loud rumbling sound, Ji took a step forward and said indifferently, Be careful. At this moment, a few trees in front of them suddenly shook and gradually fell down. A ball of fire suddenly lit up from the trees. The raging inferno gradually enveloped everyone. Ji said indifferently, Everyone, be careful. After saying this, although the trees in front of them fell down, another wave of demonic wind blew. Those fallen trees all gathered together in an instant. They stretched out the vines on their bodies and tied the group of experts at the peak of the 6th level of the Spirit Profound Realm together. Furthermore, it extended into their mouths. The group of people extended the rope into their mouths. Gradually, The group of peak 6-stage divine beasts were all possessed by the trees. They stood up, and in an instant, the vines on their bodies emerged from the skin on their hands. They took a step forward, but their eyes no longer had the expression of an ordinary person. Kill. As the word kill lit up, they arrived in front of Ji-yu. Ji-yu pulled out the long sword beside her and slashed down heavily with the sword in front of her. A few heads flew away from their bodies. Sect leader, how could you? Look carefully, they are no longer people you know. Following Ji-yu's words, the people in front of her turned their heads one after another. They gradually stood up and the vines on their bodies spread out in an instant. Looking at the vines in front of them, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Those who were possessed by the vines flew out at the same time and arrived in front of the crowd. As the long sword gradually fell, they turned their heads. They possessed the vines in front of them. Suddenly, a bright light flashed. A few experts at the 7th level of the spirit profound realm were enveloped by this powerful profound energy and flew into the air. This was such a powerful attack. The experts at the peak of the 7th level of the spirit profound realm did not dare to underestimate these demonic trees. They arrived in front of the demonic trees and used their profound skills. After a few loud rumbling sounds, the giant trees in front of them gradually turned into dust. Ji-yu said indifferently, "The demonic trees have been eliminated. As I said, as long as everyone is united, we will be successful." After saying this, the crowd in front of her walked forward. Long live Tongtian sect leader! Long live Tongtian sect leader! As the crowd moved forward, they saw that the ground was littered with corpses. Now that a group of profound practitioners had died, everyone became extremely vigilant. What exactly happened to the expert at the peak of the 9th level of the poison scorpion realm? A wild roar sounded. It's been a long time since fresh food came in, ha ha ha. An old man walked out from the mountain peak. However, when he saw so many people in front of him, he was slightly stunned. However, he thought that this group of people were at most at the 8th level of the spirit profound realm. Therefore, he released the profound energy in his body. Everyone, I am Daoist Poison Scorpion. From today onwards, you will be my food. It turned out that Daoist Poison Scorpion did not die back then. The legends about him were only passed down by word of mouth. Ji-yu was puzzled. Senior Poison Scorpion, if you didn't die, why didn't you appear in front of the world back then? This old man has been searching for the inheritance for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. Now, my lifespan cannot hold on any longer. However, it is a good thing to be able to meet you all. I can absorb your innate lifespan so that I can continue searching for the inheritance. After saying this, the people around him disappeared one after another. In the blink of an eye, he appeared beside Ji-yu. He said faintly, "Kid, you think you can escape?" In an instant, Daoist Poison Scorpion sucked the profound energy of the two people beside him dry. In any case, they were experts at the peak of the 7th level of the spirit profound realm. Yet, they were sucked dry in an instant. Ji-yu took a step forward. Take him down. Ji-yu did not act on her own. She had her own plans. If she found the inheritance later, she would definitely snatch it. Her current strength was not allowed to decrease. Several experts at the 8th level of the spirit profound realm attacked at the same time. Suddenly, Daoist Poison Scorpion laughed out loud. "Ha ha, kid, with just these people." The profound energy in his body was sucked into his body in an instant. Daoist Poison Scorpion only felt a comfortable feeling spreading throughout his body. Ji-yu threw a punch. Suddenly, a fiery iron fist met the opponent's. A strong suction force suddenly appeared. Ji-yu pulled away from the punch. In the next moment, he swung a heavy punch, and the two fists collided in an instant. A trace of fear appeared in the eyes of the remaining people. He landed on the ground, and Ji-yu punched him again. The venomous scorpion old man coughed up another mouthful of blood. He lifted the person in front of him. Immediately, Daoist Poison Scorpion turned into a cloud of black mist. Even Ji-yu could not catch him. Daoist Poison Scorpion shuttled through the crowd. Everywhere he went, there would be cries of pain. Chapter 602. 10 Great Experts. Why aren't you making a move yet? Cheng Hao and the rest knew that if they didn't make a move, Ji would lose her patience and they would be the first target. What if the 10,000 people attacked them at the same time? Even the 10 great experts would be fearful. Thinking of this, he disappeared from the spot with a swoosh. In the blink of an eye, the 10 great experts made a move at the same time. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of everyone. They held long swords in their hands and charged towards Elder Poison Scorpion. Elder Poison Scorpion suddenly turned around and released a ball of poisonous fog from his mouth. Suddenly, the black fog gradually enveloped the 2 experts in the beginning of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm. Being enveloped by the poisonous fog, the flesh on their bodies gradually melted. Their bones were exposed. The 2 of them fell to the ground. In the blink of an eye, Elder Poison Scorpion suddenly laughed out loud and roared into the sky. Suddenly, the ground under the ground cracked open, and many snakes slithered out from it. Each of the long snakes had fangs and poisonous thorns. They slithered onto the bodies of the remaining experts and bit them. The venom in the snakes was incomparably strong. In the blink of an eye, they turned into white bones. 7 of the top 10 experts had already fallen in a single exchange of blows. Only Cheng Hao, the expert at the peak of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm, and the Sea King were still standing. Their eyes were vigilant. The remaining Spirit Profound Realm experts felt a trace of fear in their hearts. Ji then made a move. The Warhound's great sword suddenly flew out. Like a dragon snake, it shot out explosively. In the blink of an eye, it was already in front of Elder Poison Scorpion. Elder Poison Scorpion was planning to dodge, but Ji's attack contained a strong profound energy. As if it had a suction force, it deeply sucked him up. There was a loud rumble. The 2 profound energies collided. Ji was attacking from a distance. Under this sword, Elder Poison Scorpion was hit by the great sword and fell to the ground. Spitting out blood, he slowly stood up and locked his gaze on Ji. I never expected that there would be someone among you who is stronger than you. However, I've absorbed the energy of quite a few profounders. Ji used her mental strength to sense that although Elder Poison Scorpion's profound energy was dense, under careful observation, the profound energy in his body was mixed up continuously. This surge of profound energy would be broken very quickly. All he needed was an external force. Elder Poison Scorpion still wanted to absorb other people's profound energy. He looked at the crowd in front of him, but he did not expect that the crowd in front of him would all run behind Ji. You will all become my food sooner or later. It's just a matter of time. Brat, just you wait. His profound strength suddenly skyrocketed, and he faintly felt as if he had reached the 1st level of the human profound realm. However, compared to the people from the Temple Academy, his aura was simply too weak. Ji suddenly ran forward and stabbed the long sword in front of her down. The long sword flashed with a golden light, and a ray of light immediately lit up. Suddenly, the giant sword came down directly. Old Man Poison Scorpion suddenly raised his hands and caught Ji's sword. Suddenly, his body shook. Ji's sword fell, but it did not affect him at all. However, the profound energy in his body was like a fish that had been starved for many days and had seen food. It swam continuously, as if it was chasing after the fish food in front of it, and crazily ate it. Ji looked at the scene in front of her and smiled faintly. The aura in Elder Poison Scorpion's body was already in a mess, and several of his meridians had already exploded. How dare you? You must die. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ji. Ji directly chopped down with the Warhound's greatsword in her hand. A trace of red blood appeared on his head. He stood on the spot, and with a sway of his body, he fell to the ground. Ji smiled faintly and waved her hand. The remaining people walked out and chopped off Elder Poison Scorpion's head. They handed Elder Poison Scorpion's storage ring to Ji. The spirit protector in the storage ring only flashed slightly in Ji's mind. It immediately broke open the spirit protector in the storage ring. Ji said faintly, I never thought that there would be such a monstrous cultivation technique in this world. Just as she broke open the storage ring. Ding! Host has viewed the star-sucking dark art and obtained the cultivation technique star-sucking dark art. The star-sucking dark art's effect was that regardless of the opponent's strength, as long as one's mental strength could suppress the opponent, one could extract their profound energy. She sensed this. Ji Yu said faintly, "It's better not to cultivate such an evil cultivation technique." At this moment, Ji Yu did not decide not to use this cultivation technique because it seemed like a demonic cultivation technique. Instead, she did not want to use it because she had not found a way to integrate the profound energy of many people. However, the absorption power of the profound energy might be useful in the future. After everyone had divided the treasures on Elder Poison Scorpion's body, Ji Yu sent people to explore the Death Valley. Previously, everyone was afraid because they knew that a 9th-level Spirit Profound Realm expert would not be able to return after entering the Death Valley. However, today was different. Today, they found out that it was all Elder Poison Scorpion's doing. Everyone was relieved and began to explore. Until they found a railway. Only then did they use the profound energy in their hands. At this moment, several streams of profound energy were injected into the long road. The remaining people stepped into the tunnel under Ji Yu's lead. Suddenly, the tunnel emitted a 7-colored light. A towering mountain range appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Ji Yu said faintly, "I can sense that there is a power of inheritance in here." Logically speaking, after sensing the power of inheritance, if this power of inheritance acknowledged one, there would be a strong calling power. In other words, if the power of inheritance in the mountain range had taken a liking to Ji Yu, it would definitely summon Ji Yu. Then it would definitely summon Ji Yu, but Ji Yu couldn't sense any trace of summoning power. Suddenly, a golden light flashed across the sky. As if there was a Buddhist chant, Ji Yu Jaluo took a step forward. "Master, I can sense that someone is calling me." Ji Yu nodded. "This power of inheritance should be something that you should have." At this moment, a few voices were heard. The person in the lead was one of the top 10 experts, Cheng Hao. Chapter 603. However, Cheng Hao also knew that he was not Ji Yu's opponent. He looked at Ji Yu calmly and said, "Previously, Tongtian's sect leader said that everyone would have a share of the inheritance. Could it be that Master wants to take it all for herself?" His words triggered a heated discussion among the crowd. Behind the mountain, a ray of blue light soared into the sky. Looking over, one could only see a black shadow flying up. That is, someone has obtained the power of inheritance. Who is it? At this moment, the blue-robed man in the sky blew a sea breeze. He was wearing blue armor. Human profound realm. His voice was incomparably strong and it reverberated in everyone's ears. In an instant, a door appeared in the sky. He stepped through the door. He disappeared from this world. In an instant, the crowd began to go crazy. They had long wanted to leave this world. Ji Yu grabbed Ji Yu Jaluo, who was in front of her. "Don't move." The first few people who rushed up had their chests pierced through by several long swords of treasured artifacts. Their gazes were like lightning. He took a step forward, but at this moment, he suddenly took 2 steps back. More and more people joined in this chaotic battle. Originally, this was a team gathered by Shu Ji. Ji Yu did not have any hope for them. The people from Zhongdu Academy naturally followed Ji Yu and hid behind the crowd. "Go to hell." 2 people who were at the peak of the 7th level of the Spirit Profound Realm joined hands and killed several people beside them. They laughed out loud and were cut down on the ground. When only a few dozen of the 10,000 profound practitioners were left, Ji Yu finally took out his Warhound's greatsword and looked forward. At this moment, they also came to their senses. Cheng Hao and Ji Yu were the same. From the beginning of the battle, they watched with folded arms. Anyway, no one could fight against them. He said indifferently, "Haven't you seen it clearly? This person is the one who used you to cross Death Valley. He is the true culprit." Cheng Hao pointed in the direction of Ji Yu. When the remaining people saw them, they calmly said, "Take him down and we will have a chance to obtain the inheritance." Ji Yu snorted. The rest of the people raised the butcher knives in their hands and charged at Ji Yu. Chang Yuan was the first to take a step forward, and Jiyu Jaluo immediately covered their bodies with his dark force. Everyone's attributes were multiplied. Raging flames burned the heavens. Chang Yuan spat out a torrential inferno from his mouth. The inferno was like a tsunami as it directly flew towards the crowd in front of him. The crowd of spirit profound realm cultivators raised their hands one after another. He wanted to use his own chi aura to block the attack. However, a cracking sound was heard. Immediately, the chi aura around their bodies shattered, and their bodies were enveloped by raging flames. Screams of agony rang out incessantly. Cheng Hao took advantage of the time when the crowd used their chi aura to block the inferno. He did not sneak an attack on Jiyu. Instead, he turned around and ran towards the mountain range behind him. The inferno was quickly calmed down. In this battle, countless people were injured, but Chang Yuan still held back. Jiyu said indifferently, "Let's go in." After saying this, they walked into the mountain range. Jiyu turned around and took out several stones from her arms. She turned around and flung the stones to the ground. Suddenly, a green light flashed and surrounded the crowd on the ground. A huge array suddenly appeared. When they woke up, they found that they had no way of leaving this small piece of land. Jiyu led the people of Zhongdu Academy into the mountain range. Jiyu Jialuo could feel the continuous summoning of the inheritance. The crowd came to a small cave. Suddenly, a scream came from the cave. Jiyu could feel that this place seemed to reject anyone who was not recognized by the inheritance. If they insisted on entering, they would definitely die. Jiyu said indifferently, "Jialuo, you go in by yourself." The Ning brothers asked, "Will there be any problems if a little girl like her goes in by herself? She is the one chosen by the inheritance. If we go in, there will be accidents." Jiyu Jialuo clenched her fists and walked into the cave. After waiting for a while, suddenly, a golden light flashed in the cave and Jiyu Jialuo floated in the air. She said indifferently, "I have broken through to the human profound realm." Unexpectedly, the inheritance was so powerful that it could forcibly raise a person of the 7th level of the spirit profound realm to the human profound realm. Although it was only the beginning of the 1st level of the human profound realm, it was already a miracle. After Jiyu Jialuo received the inheritance, a light pillar appeared in the air. She wanted to say something, but she disappeared from this world in an instant. It seems that after receiving the inheritance, one will be pushed out by the space. Jiyu said indifferently, "Let's go to the back and take a look." After saying this, they continued to walk forward. When the Ning brothers saw the two temples, their eyes became dull. In the next second, they walked into the temple. Soon, a beam of light appeared in the sky and took them away. Chang Yuan said to Jiyu, "Brother Ji, if there is an inheritance later, you go first." Jiyu shook her head and said indifferently, "The inheritance is something that can only be found. It is normal if there is no inheritance suitable for me." The two walked forward and came to the earth stairs where Wen disappeared. They saw a few corpses lying on the ground. It seemed that there was a fight among them for the inheritance. However, there was a sea of fire behind this mountain. Chang Yuan felt a strong attractive force. He stepped out. Jiyu said indifferently, "There should be an inheritance of fire in this sea of fire. It should be yours." After saying this, Chang Yuan's expression became strange. Jiyu knew what he was thinking, so she said indifferently, "Go." He cupped his hands and said thanks. Then, he jumped into the sea of fire. After a short while, another ray of light appeared here. Now, there was only Jiyu left. After deducting the inheritance of Wen, the Ning brothers, and the others, there should be 5 inheritances left. Suddenly, a long sword cut through the sky like a clap of thunder and fell in front of Jiyu. Jiyu raised the warhound's great sword in her hand and the two long swords clashed together. When the two swords clashed, the sound of thunder was heard. Chapter 604. The sound of thunder and lightning continued to resound. There were sounds of explosions all around. There was a loud rumbling sound. He then flew out. "It's you. You haven't died in the cave of inheritance." Ji looked at Cheng Hao. Cheng Hao slowly said, "As long as I kill you, I will be able to obtain a portion of the power of inheritance." As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his sword and moved forward. Ji held her giant sword and clashed with the other party. The two swords exploded with the power of thunder and lightning. This power of thunder and lightning was like a long snake, coiling around the other party's body. At this moment, Lei Dian was struck by this power of thunder and lightning. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His body softened and fell to the ground. "How is this possible? I clearly have the strength of a peak 9th rank, but I am still not your match." Ji said calmly, "If you had cooperated with me, you would definitely have a portion of the power of inheritance. But now, I will definitely take your life." After saying this, Ji raised the giant sword in her hand and cut a bloody wound on his neck. Ji took a step forward and said calmly, "But why haven't I felt the power of inheritance calling to me yet? Could it be that I am not fated with this power of inheritance?" Suddenly, 5 streaks of dark light flew up. He landed right in front of Ji. All 5 powers of inheritance had actually come knocking on his door at the same time. Ji closed her eyes and felt the power of inheritance around her. The 5 streaks of dark light represented the power of inheritance of wind, fire, thunder, lightning, and wood. Ji began to analyze which power of inheritance was most suitable for her. At this moment, these 5 streaks of dark light entered Ji's body. A wave of heat suddenly rushed into Ji's body. She closed her eyes and couldn't see the changes on her body. Her body was covered in flames. The more tormented it was, the more it meant that the power of inheritance of fire was compatible with her. Suddenly, countless streaks of lightning struck down and hit Ji's body. 1 streak of lightning, 2 streaks of lightning, 3 streaks of lightning. Countless streaks of lightning struck Ji's body. The poison on Ji's body was actually neutralized by the combination of the power of fire and lightning. The power of thunder and fire gradually disappeared. All of a sudden, a layer of ice power gradually closed in on him. Ji's entire body was covered in ice. The cold wind blew and countless tornadoes blew onto Ji's body. Ji stood on the ground with her strong Shen energy and resisted the cold wind. In the blink of an eye, spring flowers bloomed, blossoms were blossoms, making Ji's heart. He slowly opened his hands, and the flowers suddenly opened up. Feeling the power of the sea of flowers, Ji reached out and gathered the sea of flowers in front of her. Ji reached out and gathered a flower into her hand. After a moment, she opened her eyes and realized that the power of inheritance of the 5 powers had entered her body. A beam of light appeared in the air and injected into Ji's body. Ji slowly floated up. Her Xian Qi was constantly being refined. In the blink of an eye, her Xian Qi became extremely transparent. An even stronger Xian Qi covered Ji's body. Before she disappeared, she raised her hand. Her Xian energy struck out heavily. Black smoke suddenly appeared in the mountain range. It seemed that the power of her Xian energy had increased tremendously. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the inheritance of fire. You have comprehended the upper-class Xian skill of heaven level, City Burning Sea of Fire. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the inheritance of thunder. You have comprehended the upper-class Xian skill of heaven level, Lightning Rush. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the inheritance of wind. You have comprehended the upper-class Xian skill of heaven level, Giant Wind Blade. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the inheritance of wood. You have comprehended the upper-class Xian skill of heaven level, Vine Snake of 10,000 miles. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the inheritance of ice. You have comprehended the upper-class Xian skill of heaven level, Ice Seal of 10,000 miles. Ji channeled her power of inheritance into the Heavenly Sound Witch's body. Immediately, the light pillar acknowledged the Heavenly Sound Witch's identity. After the system's notification disappeared, Ji appeared in central capital city. Ji Jialuo, Chang Yuaning's brothers, and the others walked in front of Ji. Master, you have also broken through. Congratulations, Master. Boss, you are so awesome. Really awesome. Brother Ji's Shen energy has obviously increased tremendously. Although Ji had reached the first level of the human profound realm, compared to the others, her Shen energy improvement was not that great. However, Ji had obtained 5 types of power of inheritance. After that, her strength had increased by 5 times. However, they did not know how strong Ji was. Suddenly, at this moment, the temple master of the sacred temple slowly appeared. He said indifferently, "Today, everyone has returned after obtaining the power of inheritance. This is a rare occurrence in the past 300 years. Now that you have returned, you can also join our mystic master sacred temple." Ji cupped her hands and said, "I am a person who prefers more freedom." "Thank you, temple master." Following Ji's words, Chang Yuaning's brothers also cupped their hands and refused. Seeing this scene, the temple master's mouth twitched, but he could not do anything. He waved his hand and said, "All right, since it is like this, we are not people who force others. You can all leave." However, he looked at the Sky Sound Witch. "The aura on your body? You are a member of the demonic sect." Ji walked in front of the Sky Sound Witch and said, "Senior, this is my friend. A friend who is connected to the demonic sect. Tempage, take her down." Originally, the temple master could not think of an excuse to deal with Ji, but he did not expect that Ji would deliver herself to him. Should he not take this opportunity to Ji? Thinking of this, he smiled proudly. With a wave of his hand, the people of the sacred temple walked out one after another, each holding a long sword in their hands. It seemed that they were going to take her down. However, at this moment, a group of soldiers in golden armor walked out. Riding a white horse, the 5th prince said indifferently, "I am the 5th prince. Greetings, temple master. These are all my friends. There must be some misunderstanding about the demonic sect. Our mystic master sacred temple is the leader of all the sects. How can we show mercy to evil people today? Your Highness the 5th Prince, could it be that you want to interfere in this matter of the mystic masters? I am afraid that even His Majesty the East Region Emperor would not dare to interfere." Being looked down upon in front of these officials, the 5th Prince naturally wanted to save face. He gritted his teeth and said, "A few days ago, the Mystic Master Sacred Temple wanted to enter Tianhuang City in the East region. I saw that the Temple Master has done his best for the royal family over the years, so I agreed on behalf of my father. Can I take my friends away now?" Chapter 605. Hearing this, the Temple Master said slowly, "It seems that there must be some misunderstanding. I'll take my leave first." The Mystic Master Temple people followed the Temple Master in. A few people cupped their hands and left. "Temple Master, please don't be angry." "Angry? Why would I be? The royal family won't be around for long. Pass down my order. We'll hold a Mystic Master Assembly next month. By then, the royal family will no longer exist. Temple Master, you're so scheming." Everyone started praising him. As for Ji, after bidding farewell to everyone, it returned to its room. During this period of time, Xiao Gu's strength had also improved by a step due to its slumber. Looking at this powerful mystic energy, Ji said calmly, "I didn't expect that Xiao Gu's strength could increase while sleeping." After hearing this, he turned his head and said calmly, "Since your mystic energy increased, why don't I bring you to find your family?" Xiao Gu's eyes widened. She was extremely nervous when she heard the word family. "Before that, I have someone to introduce to you." He looked outside the door. "Come in." After hearing this, a person walked out from the door. The Heavenly Sound Witch knelt on the ground with her hands on her hips. She bowed and said, "It's really young master." She knelt on the ground. "Greetings, young master." Xiao Jiyu also felt a long-lost sense of familiarity from the Heavenly Sound Witch. Jiyu said calmly, "The two of you have a good chat." The two of them huddled together. The person beside them said slowly, "Pass down my order. Let's go." The three of them arrived at a city 25 kilometers away from the central capital. According to the Heavenly Sound Witch, their sacred sect was established here. The Heavenly Sound Witch hadn't returned home for more than 10 years. In that world, The heavenly sound which still looked like a 16-year-old who had just left home. From afar, the city seemed to be releasing an awe-inspiring righteous aura. Ji-yu was a little curious. How could such a place be where the demon sect was? The two people in front of them extended the spears on their backs and stopped the crowd. One of the soldiers asked, "Halt, this is Grand Spirit City, who are you?" The heavenly sound which walked out and took out a pouch of silvers. She then threw the pouch of silvers into the hands of others. Looking at the gold coins in his hand, he said, "So it's just a group of merchants. Then go in, go in." There was a smile on his face. The carriage gradually entered Grand Spirit City. Ji-yu asked, "Isn't this your family's temple? Why do you still need to pay?" The heavenly sound which held her chin. "It's true that the holy sect was established in Grand Chi City, but we have long been labeled as an evil sect by the Mystic Master Alliance, so we can't be exposed." The carriage arrived in front of a mansion. The three of them entered the residence together. The heavenly sound which cut her finger in front of a fake mountain and dripped a drop of blood onto it. All of a sudden, a tunnel of black light appeared on the ground. The three of them stepped into the tunnel of light. It was a completely different world. The wind started to blow gently. Countless flowers, plants, and trees were flourishing. Rows of sturdy houses were placed on this patch of grass. Ji-yu looked at the house in front of him and saw many people walking out. However, when their gazes landed on the heavenly sound witch, they all became excited. "Eldest Miss is back, Eldest Miss is back." The two of them ran into the room excitedly. However, to everyone's surprise, two people walked out of the room. "What Eldest Miss?" "She's just the former Eldest Miss, don't worry, sect leader. Since Eldest Miss is back today, she can forget about leaving." The heavenly sound which walked into the main hall and didn't see her father. "Where's my father?" A middle-aged man walked out with a hearty laugh. "Niece, you're back." He looked very excited. However, in Ji-yu's eyes, ever since he stepped into the human profound realm, he could see the minute movements between the eyebrows of the person in front of him. He said indifferently, "Xiao Ji-yu, don't reveal your identity first." Although Xiao Ji-yu didn't understand, she still obediently listened to Ji-yu. At this moment, the middle-aged man also saw Ji-yu and the others and asked, "These two are?" For some reason, the middle-aged man felt a desire when he saw Xiao Ji-yu. Furthermore, this desire was incomparably strong. In fact, the Heaven Wasteland sect was the representative of the Heaven Wasteland calamity dragons in the mortal world. The cultivation technique they cultivated gave them an indescribable feeling of closeness to the Heaven Wasteland calamity dragons. However, after the ancient dragon's head was killed, the ancient dragon's mother fell into a deep sleep. After so many years of accumulation, the aura in her body could no longer be suppressed. Now, only by combining with the Heaven Wasteland calamity dragons could she suppress this profound energy. The heavenly sound which said, "Uncle, let me introduce everyone. This is my uncle, Ban Hua. These two are," she glanced at Ji-yu and said somewhat shyly, "This is Ji-yu, Ji Gongzi. This is Xiao Ji-yu. They are Ji-yu's friends. The two of them are my friends." Hearing this, Ban Hua nodded. The heavenly sound which asked curiously, "Do you know where my father is?" Ban Hua put on a pitiful expression and said, "Your father, your father sacrificed himself to save everyone from the Grand Style faction's encirclement several years ago." After saying this, he wiped away his tears. He seemed to be very sad, but in Ji-yu's eyes, there was a trace of a smile at the corner of his mouth. Ji-yu didn't move at all. She wanted to see what kind of trick he was going to use. After receiving them to settle down, he said, "Use that medicine. Tonight, I want to obtain that girl." The two disciples in front of him said yes. Then, they left. At night, a table of dishes was placed in front of the two. The heavenly sound which passed by and smelled the aroma of the food, so she walked in. "Young master, Ji Gongzi, you are eating. Why don't I accompany you?" The three of them stuffed themselves with food. The heavenly sound which really lived up to her name. She gnawed on the drumstick without a care for her image. She glanced at Ji-yu and blushed. Ji-yu said indifferently, Eating more will make your body better. Xiao Yin is really cute like this. The heavenly sound which then ate with peace of mind. After a while, Ji Yu felt that something was wrong with the food and laughed. Ban Hua walked in with 2 disciples. Chapter 606. He looked at Xiao Ji Yu and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. You're truly an outstanding beauty. Tonight, I'll let Uncle properly dote on you. The heavenly sound which shouted, Uncle, how can you do this? Ban Hua laughed heartily. My good niece, I originally wanted to leave you for 2 days to properly deal with you. How do you think your father died? Later, I'll let my 2 subordinates properly serve you. He winked at the 2 people beside him. The 2 of them stepped forward. Ji Yu smiled faintly. Do you think I'm not here? Ban Hua said even more arrogantly. Ha ha ha, brat, I can't sense any Shen energy in your body. Why are you putting on an act in front of me and thinking of escaping? Hearing this, Ji Yu smiled faintly. You guys go forward and try. The 2 people behind him took out their treasured weapons. Ban Hua said, let's take his life first. The 2 of them smiled and walked in front of Ji Yu. They took out their long swords and pressed them in front of Ji Yu. Their eyes revealed a trace of ferocity. It seemed that as long as Ji Yu stood up, he would immediately lose his life. The medicine in Ji Yu's body was currently taking effect. Even the Shen energy in his body had no effect on the medicine in front of him. He took out a bottle of medicine. There were only 2 pills inside. As long as he consumed these 2 pills, he would be safe and sound. Ji Yu threw the 2 pills at Xiao Ji Yu and the heavenly sound witch. At this moment, the Shen energy in his body gradually condensed. Ji Yu slammed the table, and it immediately broke into pieces. The might of a mortal profound realm expert was suddenly released. However, Ji Yu felt that the Shen energy in his body had collided with another Shen energy at this moment. Ban Hua waved his hand. The 2 of them walked out, and a powerful Shen energy exploded from their bodies. Ji Yu realized that her current profound strength had already been reduced to around the 7th level of the spirit profound realm. You're only at the 7th level of the spirit profound realm. No, your profound strength must have been suppressed by the heavenly demonic medicine. At the 7th level of the spirit profound realm, one would at least be at the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm. Brat, you're actually a genius. The 2 of them said, Hierarch, as long as he surrenders, we will have a powerful backup. After hearing this, Ban Hua's eyes flickered. He said solemnly, no, he must be related to that woman. If he grows up, he will definitely create a sea of fire. After saying this, Ji Yu coldly looked at the person in front of her. She took out a warhound's great sword and waved her hand, summoning the soul of a giant dog. The soul of the giant dog stepped forward. He flew forward and looked at the 2 people in front of him. The 2 of them smiled disdainfully. We are experts at the 9th level of the spirit profound realm, and we also practice the sacred sect's cultivation method. With our Shen energy superimposed, we can even fight against a human profound realm expert. After saying this, he disappeared on the spot. In the blink of an eye, one of them appeared in front of Ji Yu, and the other one followed behind him in a straight line. Ji Yu reached out her hand. Shen skill, Raging Inferno. A ball of raging fire gradually condensed in his palm, and then suddenly shot out. Ding, the host used Raging Inferno. Obtained experience points 1 by 999. One of Ban Hua's subordinates broke into a smile. What could this little raging fire do to them? At this moment, the raging fire suddenly exploded, like a sea of fire. Seeing the sea of fire covering that person's body, his eyes widened. The sea of fire directly enveloped him. Seeing this scene, the person who had been following behind him burst out with a red raging fire, completely surrounding himself. After a while, he grabbed the person in front of him. Just as he pulled away, he disappeared from his original position. Along with his friend, he disappeared from his original position. After a while, they wanted to escape, but they did not expect that Ji Yu's raging inferno would suddenly burn their bodies. Ji Yu smiled faintly and said, "You didn't expect this, did you? My sea of fire will not stop until all of you have been burned to ashes. After hearing Ji-yu's words, he disappeared from his original position. Two long swords were stretched forward, and the warhound's giant sword was swung out heavily. The long sword and the heavy sword collided. There was a loud bang. The two people in front of her suddenly had their veins broken. Ji-yu stretched out her leg and kicked the body between the two people. He swayed and fell to the ground. Ji-yu looked at Ban Hua beside her. You're the only one left. Ban Hua coldly snorted, an hour has already passed. If you don't have sex soon, your body will explode and you will die. At this time, Ji-yu turned her head. Ban Hua wanted to escape. If he escaped, she would not have time to force the poison out of her body. So she reached out her hand. In an instant, the temperature in the air quickly dropped. The surrounding cold air could be seen with the naked eye. The cold air gradually condensed and turned into an ice wall, trapping Ban Hua in front of her. Ban Hua was surrounded by this ice wall. The 4 ice walls gradually approached in front of him. He pulled out his long sword, wanting to slash at the ice wall in front of him. But he never expected that with a ding sound, the ice wall would force Ban Hua back. Ji-yu arrived in front of him and stabbed the warhound's giant sword in her hand. Ban Hua looked at the long sword in front of him and disappeared in a flash. Is that it? Just as his voice fell, several hundred bolts of heavenly lightning suddenly fell down. The lightning struck Ban Hua's body. After being struck by these several hundred bolts of heavenly lightning, Ban Hua had no chance of surviving even if he wanted to. It was a pity that Ji-yu's storage ring on his body was destroyed by his own mystic skill. The flames on his body continued to burn. Xiao Ji-yu and the heaven sound witch had just finished melting the pills Ji-yu gave them. They opened their eyes and nervously arrived in front of Ji-yu. One on the left and one on the right, they approached Ji-yu. The two of them grabbed Ji-yu in front of them. Ji-yu's stamina began to decrease. He opened his mouth and said, "You too, leave quickly." Xiao Ji-yu said, "I won't leave Big Brother's side. We owe Ji Gongzi a favor. How could I leave Big Brother's side at this time?" The heaven sound witch used her handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat on Ji-yu's forehead. Chapter 607. The demonic medicine in Ji-yu's body was unleashing its greatest effect. The demonic fire on her body gradually grew stronger. Under Ji-yu's command, the demonic sect members dug out a hillside in the distance. A small hall appeared in front of them. The heavenly sound demoness looked at the hall. There was a golden seat. There was a black-clothed man in a long robe on the seat. His gaze was sharp. He stared in the direction of the crowd. The few demonic sect holy disciples behind Ji-yu looked at the scene in front of them with a trace of fear in their eyes. At this moment, the few demonic sect holy disciples on them stood up and rushed forward with large sabers in their hands. However, when they arrived in front of that person, Ji Gongzi, this is a corpse. After saying this, Ji-yu went forward to investigate. She saw that the corpse had been dead for a long time. The heavenly sound demoness walked in. When she saw the person in front of her, tears welled up in her eyes. The heavenly sound demoness' long hair was tied up. She lay in front of the heavenly sound sect leader and cried. Ji-yu touched her forehead and said indifferently, "The culprit has died in our hands." The tears in her eyes dripped onto the heavenly sound sect leader's body. At this moment, a black light was released from the heavenly sound sect leader's body. In an instant, the corpse's chair slowly moved away. A passageway appeared. Ji-yu took the lead and walked in. The heavenly sound demoness also put away her emotions and followed Ji-yu into the passageway. However, a gust of wind blew. A huge dragon that looked like Xiao Ji-yu before she was formed laid on the ground and fell into a deep sleep. Her breathing sounds could be heard continuously. Xiao Ji-yu ran over and laid down in front of that huge dragon. "Mother, mother." Ji-yu frowned. If he injected the dark force in his body into this calamity dragon of apocalypse, he might be able to help her wake up. He sat cross-legged on the ground. The profound strength of the human profound realm was completely released from his body. The dark force appeared in the void, and in an instant, The dark force was injected into the other party's body. What? Ji Gongzi is actually an expert at the human profound realm? No wonder our sect leader died at his hands. There aren't many human profound realm experts at such a young age in the empire of the eastern region. As soon as he finished speaking, the mysterious light suddenly entered Ji Yu's body. At the same time, it also shrouded the dragon of desolation. At this time, the calamity dragon raised its head, and in a flash, it circled its body and flew into the air. Ji Yu said lightly, "She still has some internal injuries." A short moment later, all of Ji Yu's dragon bloodline power was released. He possessed the dragon soul into his opponent's body. With the injection of the dragon soul, the calamity dragon turned into a black light. In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared on the spot. He saw a woman appear in the middle of the room. Seeing her mother, whom she hadn't seen for a long time, Xiao Jiyu threw herself into her arms. "Mother, we haven't seen each other for a long time." Her mother stroked her coiled long hair. "Xiao Jiyu, you?" Xiao Gu's face reddened. After what happened last night, the immature feeling on Xiao Gu's body faded a lot. "Mother, I met someone who looks like my father. I've already decided on him." Hearing this, Xiao Gu's mother was moved. "Greetings, Auntie." Xiao Gu's mother said, "Are you the one who saved me? Are you also Xiao Gu's man?" Jiyu cupped his hands and said, "That's me. I'll leave Xiao Jiyu to you from now on." After the calamity dragon of desolation woke up, the people of the sacred sect all knelt on the ground and kept saying, "Greetings, new sect leader." Jiyu walked out of the door. Just as he walked out, he suddenly saw the messenger in front of him. He cupped his hands and said, "Ji Gongzi, there's a letter for you." Jiyu opened the letter and read it. It turned out that it was a letter from Chang Yuan. The meaning of the letter was that because the mystic sect temple held a follower conference, they ordered everyone to go to Tianhui City and hold a sect conference. At this moment, Jiyu smiled faintly. It seemed that the people of the mystic sect temple couldn't stay any longer. Xiao Gu's mother seemed to have sensed something. "I sensed that the empire of the eastern region might discover something in the future. I'll give you the token. As long as you hold this token, you can order all the people of the sacred sect." After saying this, the color of the sky suddenly changed. The sacred sect had been relying on the formation to prevent the people of the Grand Qi Alliance from discovering the changes in this world. However, at this moment, they saw the brilliance in front of them changing. Countless young men and women arrived on their swords and said arrogantly, "Demonic sect, why aren't you obediently surrendering?" Hearing this, a person in a cyan robe walked out and said, "I'm the leader of the Grand Qi Alliance, Chang Hao." After he said this, the people of the Grand Qi Alliance appeared in the same place. They held long swords and directly attacked the people of the demonic sect. The people of the demonic sect obviously had lower levels of mystic energy than the people of the Grand Qi Alliance. Jiyu said faintly, "Everyone, listen to my orders." Now that he had the token in hand and Xiao Jiyu had admitted that she was Jiyu's woman, he had an even more prominent position in the sacred sect. The people of the sacred sect all responded, "Yes." After they said this, they took a step forward. Jiyu threw out two small flags. Instantly, the formation was formed leisurely. At this moment, everyone felt that the mystic energy they could use had increased by at least one level. Jiyu said faintly, "Mystic technique, city burning sea of fire." Ding. Host used city burning sea of fire. Obtained experience points of 1 by 999. The sea of fire directly drowned the people of the Grand Qi Alliance. The people of the Grand Qi Alliance snorted and gathered together. Mystic technique, Grand Qi of righteousness. Suddenly, a mystic light was released. Chapter 608. The people from the Haoqi Alliance watched as the sea of fire approached them. Their faces were filled with astonishment. They took 2 steps back and shouted at the same time, "Haoqi Bing Bing." At this moment, the dark force that they were using was condensed into a single point. The dark force in front of them quickly gathered at one point. At this moment, That burst of profound energy transformed into an enormous long sword. Following that heavy sword strike, the profound energy slashed down. The long sword quickly arrived in front of them. A huge Qi gang appeared in front of Ji. The people from the Devil sect used their own bloodline to increase their dark force. In the blink of an eye, the dark force enveloped them. In the blink of an eye, Ji appeared in front of them. The pure dark force was right in front of them. It was accompanied by a loud boom. The people from both sides were sent flying to the ground. Ji took a step forward. She reached out and grabbed the person in front of her. The chief disciple of the Haoqi Alliance didn't expect Ji to have such powerful strength. He was caught by Ji. Human profound realm. Please ask the elder for help. As soon as he said this, Ji threw him away like she was throwing away a dog. The disciples of the Devil sect took advantage of this opportunity. 10 of them walked out and stabbed the long sword in front of them. The chief disciple of the Haoqi Alliance screamed and died. At this moment, a firework slowly rose in this small world. 5 figures appeared in the sky. They looked at the dead chief disciple of the Haoqi Alliance. They were instantly furious. The 5th elder of the Haoqi Alliance took a step forward. I'm Wu Fei, the 5th elder of the Haoqi Alliance. How dare the Devil sect kill our disciples? Why don't you obediently accept your death? Hearing Jiyu's words, Jiyu waved her hand. The 12 saints of the Devil sect raised the long sword in their hands. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared on the spot. In the next moment, they appeared in front of Wu Fei. They raised their swords and slashed down heavily. Wu Fei looked at the 12 saints of the demonic sect and snorted. A strong suction force appeared in his hand. He absorbed the 12 people into his Qi aura. Suddenly, there was a fluctuation in the Qi gang. Then, long spikes emerged from the Qi gang. It pierced through their bodies. Jiyu disappeared in the blink of an eye. The warhound's giant sword appeared in her hand and she slashed down with it. All of a sudden, a beam of mystic light shone. The people around him fell to the ground one after another. They spat out blood. Jiyu took a step forward and said calmly, "You people from the Grand Aura Alliance killed people from the Holy Church of Light. How dare you say that? Mph, everyone has the right to kill the Devil sect. Kid, don't talk nonsense. Wait a moment." After he finished speaking, the Qi aura around his body enveloped his entire body. The Qi aura around him gradually transformed into a 5-foot-tall giant. With a single step, the entire ground shook violently. Second level of the human profound realm, the people of the Devil sect trembled. The pressure that the human profound realm brought to ordinary Shen cultivators was too terrifying. Jiyu floated in the air. Kill. The word kill was accompanied by a loud roar. Suddenly, a strong pressure came from the air. Right at this moment, the power enveloped everyone, and coincidentally separated the people in front of them. The people of the Devil sect felt the pressure on them was greatly reduced. Jiyu held the warhound's giant sword and appeared in front of one of them in the blink of an eye. She slashed her sword and the 2 giant swords collided. When the 2 swords collided, Jiyu said calmly, "Mystic skill, City Burning Sea of Fire." Ding, the host used City Burning Sea of Fire. Experience points gained, 1 by 999. Flames burst out from the long sword instantly. The flames were like a whirlpool, exploding in front of Jiyu. The flames were like a long snake, gradually arriving in front of Wu Fei. Wu Fei raised his hand and waved it. He threw out a palm, intending to block Jiyu's attack. However, he did not expect that the fire would not be extinguished when it hit his palm. Instead, it burned Wu Fei's arm. He kept swinging his hand, trying to get rid of the flames in his hand. But unexpectedly, Jiyu had already arrived in front of him and slashed down heavily with her sword. Blood dripped down drop by drop. They took a deep breath and looked at Jiyu with fear in their eyes. Jiyu moved and turned into more than 50 figures in an instant. Like a ghost, Wu Fei's entire left arm was cut off by Jiyu. How could he resist Jiyu's attack now? He shouted, "Senior brothers, save me." After shouting this sentence, the other 4 elders attacked at the same time. Each of them was around the 7th level of the human profound realm. Even if Ji Yu used all her skills, there was no way to resist them. At this moment, roar! A furious roar spread from the ground. Xiao Gu's mother circled her body and flew into the air. She let out another dragon's roar toward the ground. At this moment, the purple flames danced in front of them. What? It's the Dragon of Calamity? I didn't expect that the heavenly music sect's fawning object really existed. They looked at Xiao Gu's mother flying out from behind with fear in their eyes. In the blink of an eye, Ji Yu pulled out the long sword beside her and struck again. Wu Fei's chest was pierced by this sword. The aura in his dantian suddenly exploded, and a loud rumbling sound was heard. A ray of dark light came from the surroundings. This was the starlight emitted when a human profound realm expert died. Ji Yu took a step forward. Junior brother. Junior brother. The 4 people in the air shouted at the same time. However, the dark energy on the person in the air suddenly turned into a long sword at this moment. Even if they encountered a legendary ancient dragon like Xiao Gu's mother, they all wanted to take revenge for this blood feud. However, in front of Xiao Ji Yu, they seemed so small. Xiao Gu's mother shouted. The white light in the air was like a stone falling into water, creating ripples. And those ripples gradually formed a long sword, flying over heavily. The long sword arrived in front of the 4 people. The 4 people raised their hands at the same time, and that long sword collided with the Qi aura. Immediately, the Qi shield was shattered by Xiao Gu's mother's furious roar. Specks of starlight appeared. The 4 people's meridians were all broken. They fell to the ground. The people of the Devil sect cheered loudly. Long live the ancient dragon, long live the ancient dragon. Chapter 609. That night, in order to celebrate defeating the Grand Aura Alliance, everyone held a bonfire party. Each of them cooked their own signature dishes. Everyone knew about Ji Yu, the heavenly sound witch, and Xiao Ji Yu. Therefore, a few busybodies pulled Ji Yu to the front of everyone. They waved their hands and said, "Everyone, this is Ji Yu and Ji Gongzi. She is the person chosen by our saintess." The heavenly sound witch and Xiao Ji Yu were wearing Miaojiang robes. Under the illumination of the bonfire, they looked extremely beautiful. This Ji Gongzi is really lucky. If only I had such a beautiful wife. That's right. I really envy Ji Gongzi for being able to enjoy the good fortune of having multiple wives. They all agreed. It was as if the most beautiful woman in the world was right here. Ji Yu held their hands and walked to the other side. She slowly said, "The 2 of you are really beautiful today. You have such a sweet mouth." A few female disciples sang a song. Ji Yu held their hands, and everyone started to dance. Just as they were at their most excited, Ji Yu carried Xiao Ji Yu and the heavenly sound witch. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared and arrived in front of the room. The next morning, Ji Yu walked out of the door. Xiao Ji Yu had already returned to her mother's side. On the other side, the heavenly sound witch was already handling the sect's matters. Ji Yu walked out. 2 disciples looked at Ji Yu respectfully and handed over the plates in their hands. There were 2 sets of breakfast on the plates. "Young master, this is from our saintess and the daughter of the sect master." The 2 disciples cupped their hands and said at the same time. After breakfast, Ji Yu went to look for the heavenly sound witch. The heavenly sound witch excitedly walked in front of Ji Yu. She covered her mouth. Ji Yu said, "There must be something wrong with the sacred temple holding the Mystic Master Convention. I plan to investigate." The heavenly sound witch frowned. "My uncle is already dead, and my father." At this point, a trace of sadness appeared in the witch's eyes. Ji Yu said indifferently, "Do you want to stay here?" The heavenly sound witch nodded. Ji Yu sighed and held her hand. "Don't worry, I will come back to you." He walked out of the room and suddenly saw 7 or 8 people kneeling on the ground in front of him. They were still seriously injured. Ji Yu said indifferently, "Why are you here instead of recuperating?" "Young master, please bring us along. We would like to gain some experience." Only 7 or 8 of the 12 saints of the demonic sect were left. Ji Yu looked at the 12 people in front of her and said faintly, "That's good too. Pack your things. We'll set off soon." Everyone saw that Ji Yu agreed so quickly. Xiao Ji Yu still wanted to stay here and reunite with her mother. Xiao Gu's mother patted her head. "You're already Ji Gong's person. Why are you still pestering me? Go and gain some experience with him." Xiao Gu's mother looked at Ji Yu and said, "Ji Gongzi, I'll leave my precious daughter to you." Ji Yu cupped his hands and said, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of Xiao Ji Yu." Xiao Gu's mother nodded in satisfaction. Only 7 of the 12 saints were left. They carried the wooden boxes into the carriage. The carriage started moving. Ji Yu rode on a white horse. With a wave of her whip, the carriage started moving. Ji Yu brought the people around her to the north of the Eastern Region Empire. She first met up with Chang Yuan. When Chang Yuan saw Ji Yu, he ran out excitedly. The people in front of her all walked up. Ji Yu looked at Chang Yuan in front of her and patted his body. "It seems that your strength has improved a lot." The guards in the courtyard started whispering. "Who is this? He seems to be a classmate of the academy. He seems to be quite familiar with our young master." Chang Yuan said indifferently, "I don't know, but we should have improved a lot during this time. Let's have a competition." Ji Yu nodded. Although the guards didn't say anything, a smile appeared on their faces. Because they all knew that their young master had already stepped into the mortal profound realm. This person actually dared to fight with their young master. He was really reckless. Accompanied by a flash of light. Chang Yuan had inherited the fire inheritance. And it was the most powerful fire inheritance, the phoenix fierce bird. A pair of wings appeared on his back. A layer of flames appeared on the chi aura all over his body. However, the most powerful part was his eyes. There were 2 balls of flames in his eyes that replaced his eyeballs. Beast profound skill, 100 birds worshipping the phoenix. After he shouted this sentence, Li Yundong shouted, the long spear in his hand suddenly danced, and the spear was wrapped in raging flames. In an instant, the power of the flames gradually pressed over. When the ball of flames approached, Ji Yu didn't move, but her body was also covered by a ball of flames. At this moment, 2 balls of blazing fire could be seen flying out from that ball of blazing fire. Ji Yu restrained the power of the city-burning sea of flames to the lowest level. The long spear fell. In the blink of an eye, it was in front of Ji Yu. Ji Yu waved her hand and the ball of flames collided with Chang Yuan's long spear. There was a clink. Chang Yuan retreated quickly. The 2 balls of flames collided. He had a smile on his face. "Brother Ji, I didn't expect that you also inherited the power of fire. Let's see whose power of fire is more powerful." The flames on Chang Yuan's body became more vigorous. At this moment, his power of the phoenix suddenly turned into a beam of light and flew in front of Ji Yu. Ji Yu suddenly spread her hands in the air. Suddenly, countless lightning bolts fell from the sky. Chang Yuan's eyes widened. He was struck by the lightning bolts. Like a ball of flames, his body turned into specks of starlight and shattered in all directions like a meteor. However, the flames once again gathered together outside the lightning zone. They turned into a firebird and charged in Ji Yu's direction. Ji Yu kicked the ball of flames and immediately shattered it. Chang Yuan stepped on the ground and took 2 steps back. Ji Yu said indifferently, "Chang Yuan, you've shown your strength." Chang Yuan scratched his head. "Brother Ji is really too amazing. I originally thought that I had already made a lot of progress. I didn't expect you to actually have 2 types of inheritance power. However, these 2 types of inheritance power can be cultivated so quickly. It's really surprising." Ji Yu said indifferently, "I haven't made much progress. My head is still hurting. By the way, how's the Mystic Master Temple?" Chapter 610. Chang Yuan said indifferently, "His Highness the 5th Prince has always been in contact with us. Recently, many experts of the imperial family have been assassinated. And it's said that as long as they support the 5th Prince's faction or are unwilling to submit to them, they've all been killed." After saying this, The Ning brothers also walked in. Long time no see, Brother Ji. When Ji saw them, she was delighted. She grabbed their hands and said indifferently, "It's really been a long time." Chang Yuan said, "Why don't we hold a banquet?" A few servants set up the table. Everyone picked up the wine cups in front of them and started drinking. While everyone was drinking, the guards and the 7 demonic sects' holy sons also fell asleep. However, at this moment, hundreds of masked men in black climbed up the wall. They waved their hands and the leader of the masked men said indifferently, "Kill them." With that order, countless people suddenly jumped down. Ji looked at the people in front of her. They drew their swords and charged in Ji's direction. "Mph, you should have known your fate when you offended our divine temple." A smile appeared on that person's face. However, at this moment, a ball of fire spread in all directions. Chang Yuan pulled up his family's bodyguard, while Ji stood beside him. The Ning brothers revealed their claws. Both of them had inherited the beast soul inheritance. In the blink of an eye, the two of them ran forward at the same time. The Ning brothers were the first to burst out. The sharpness of the claws in their hands had already reached the level of a 7th-grade artifact. In the blink of an eye, the 4 claws on their 2 hands slashed down heavily. The aura energy of the 2 masked men was like a piece of paper. It was instantly torn apart by the claws. Hundreds of masked men in black moved at the same time and charged in Ji's direction. Ji opened her hand and the warhound sword appeared in her hand. She swung the sword. Hundreds of bolts of heavenly lightning shot out from the sword at the same time. The 100 bolts of lightning were like long snakes as they danced and danced on the bodies of the black-clothed men. Immediately, more than a dozen black-clothed men were sent flying. "Lei, bring up the Earth Shen techniques." They all burst out shouting, and the remaining people walked out. At the same time, he shouted, "Mystic skill, thick Earth City wall." They slapped their hands on the ground at the same time. The thick soil underground turned into a circle of city walls that gradually approached and wrapped around the people in front of them. Above the wall of earth, countless earth spikes flew down. Ji coldly snorted. The power of earth. Profound skill, Vajra Thunder Flash. This move was a fusion of Ji's wood inheritance and lightning inheritance. The 2 profound energies gathered together. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck down directly in front of them. The surrounding lightning struck down. Those earth spikes were not as powerful as the lightning. Under the lightning strike, they were turned into scorched earth. The power of lightning instantly exploded on the city wall. 2 gaps appeared. The black-robed people jumped down and raised their hands one after another. Those black-robed people gathered everyone's earth profound energy together at this moment. It transformed into an earthen dragon. They said indifferently, "Kill." After shouting the word kill, Ji suddenly took 2 steps back and circulated his profound energy in his hands. A lightning dragon flew out from his hands. The people in front of him coldly snorted. "You want to fight against us with just a lightning dragon?" After they shouted those words, they raised their hands, and a fire dragon flew out from their hands. 5 different colored profound energies appeared on Ji's body. In an instant, 5 different colored dragons flew out from Ji's hands. The lightning dragon that flew out first collided with the earthen dragon. Those earthen rocks fell down one after another. The 5 dragons flew out at the same time and flew in front of them. Countless black-robed people flew out one after another. They hit the city wall and vomited blood. Ji said indifferently, "Chang Yuan, let's retreat." After Ji shouted this, the people beside him also followed Ji and ran out of the backyard. "What about your family?" Chang Yuan revealed a smug smile. "Don't worry, I already guessed that the Mystic Master Temple would come to kill us, so I already moved my family away." Facing hundreds of people, Ji and the others had no choice but to retreat first. If it was only Ji, it wouldn't matter, but there were so many people around him. However, at this moment, countless fierce horses galloped out. The people riding on the horses were all golden-armored people. They waved their swords and pointed them in Ji's direction. "Kill." After shouting this, the group of people rode forward with spears in their hands. Ji frowned. He didn't like being threatened. He said, "If you want to kill us, you can die first." Mystic technique. After Jiyu shouted this, the golden horses in front of him stepped past Jiyu and charged towards the black-robed people behind them with spears in their hands. After about 20 people had died, Zhong Hanyang's eyes lit up. The leader of the black-robed people raised his hand. "These are the royal golden-armored mystic masters. Let's retreat." After they left, the leader of the golden-armored mystic masters walked out. "I am Jin Cheng. Who is young Master Chang?" Chang Yuan walked out and cupped his hands. "I am Chang Yuan." Jin Cheng heaved a sigh of relief. "Fortunately, I came in time today. I don't know if you know where Jiyu and Ji Gongzi are. I'm going to pick him up." Jiyu walked forward and said indifferently, "I am Jiyu. Greetings, General. It's good to see you." Hearing this, he said, "I don't know how you know me. I am a general under the 5th Prince. Recently, many people have died under the Mystic Master Temple's assassination, so I specially came to protect young Master Chang Yuan. The next person we are looking for is young Master. His Highness said that if we can meet young Master, we should invite young Master back." After hearing this, Jiyu nodded and led the people beside him in the direction of Zhongju City. Several days later, only then did the army slowly arrive at Zhongju City. After the 5th Prince received the news, he led the guards to the city gates. When he saw Jiyu, he walked forward happily. "Brother Ji, it's good that you are safe and sound." Jiyu nodded at him. Immediately after, the 5th Prince looked around and said calmly, "Follow me." After saying this, the people beside him walked in the direction of the Imperial Palace. In the Imperial Palace, the Crown Prince received the news. He snorted and said indifferently, "I didn't expect them to come so soon. Write back and tell the Temple Master that the person he wants has arrived in Zhongju." Chapter 611. Woo woo tilde. The sound of the bugle horn continued to spread. The red carpet was spread on the ground, and the guards in golden armor stood up one after another. Jiyu went straight to the palace under the protection of the 5th Prince. Inside the palace, there was a white-haired old man in a yellow robe. He said lightly, "Haha, welcome, Shen cultivators." The people in front of him slowly walked forward. They all knelt on the ground. Jiyu stood alone. A civil official beside her said angrily, "How dare you not kneel in front of our emperor?" Jiyu said lightly, "Greetings, Your Majesty." When the emperor of the Eastern Region Empire stood up, his mind suddenly went blank. The emperor of the Eastern Region Empire's eyes turned white and widened. He swayed and fell on the chair. The Crown Prince of the Eastern Region Empire showed a smile. He waved his hand and shouted to Jiyu, "Take him down." "Yes." Several guards of the Jin family rushed forward. Jiyu frowned. If she ran away now, wouldn't it be a confession? However, Jiyu seemed to have thought of something. She stood up straight and didn't move. Instead, she looked at the people in front of her coldly. Seeing that Jiyu didn't move, the Crown Prince showed a smile. The 5th Prince said anxiously, "She is my friend, Your Highness." The Crown Prince didn't pay attention to the 5th Prince. 2 drops of tears came out of his eyes. He cried and ran to his father, lying on his body. "Father, you died so miserably. What kind of friend is she? She is clearly a murderer." He coldly snorted and waved his hand heavily. "5th Imperial Brother, I had some suspicions about what happened to 6th Imperial Brother last time. But I didn't expect that you would do such a thing. Someone come, put the 5th Prince under house arrest in his palace." All the civil and military officials present were scared out of their wits. They could only kneel on the ground. They bowed to the person in front of them. "Greetings to the new emperor." The Crown Prince smiled in satisfaction. He stood up and said faintly, "My beloved subjects, now that my father is dead, according to custom, this one should automatically succeed him. Since all of you have made such a strong request, this one cannot refuse. Thus, I will announce it here." Wait. After the Crown Prince said those words, the door slowly opened. The Crown Prince looked at the people from the Mystic Master Temple and frowned. Shouldn't they be in the so-called Immortal Ascension Assembly right now, killing those damned sect people? He clenched his fists and smiled faintly. He asked the temple master and elders in front of him, "Ha ha ha, this humble one greets your highness the crown prince." Now that her majesty has suddenly died, the crown prince cannot escape suspicion. The corners of the crown prince's eyes twitched. What nonsense are you spouting? Men, seize him for this crown prince as well. Just as the golden-armored guards took a step forward, suddenly, a terrifying profound energy descended from the sky and covered everyone's body. A sense of fear appeared in everyone's hearts. At that time, other than Ji Chang Yuan, and the others, no one moved under Jiu's signal. They just stared blankly at the scene in front of them, as if they were watching a play. The few golden-armored protectors were not as lucky as him. In terms of profound energy, although each of them was at the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm, the person who released this terrifying pressure was the temple master of the Mystic Master Temple, who was at the beginning of the 5th level of the human profound realm. He said faintly, "Ha ha ha, if you weren't so stupid and obediently listened to me for the sake of the so-called throne, those sects that maintained the face of your imperial family wouldn't have perished. If they hadn't perished, you wouldn't have fallen to such a state." The crown prince pointed at him and cursed, "F***CKU, you tricked me? Your highness the crown prince, you can only blame yourself for being too stupid. Elders, kill the crown prince as a way to repay the kindness of the previous emperor to our Mystic Master Temple." The surrounding people cupped their hands and said, "Yes." They walked forward at the same time. Each of them held a treasure in their hands and arrived in front of the crown prince. The crown prince said faintly, "You want to take this crown prince down with just you?" The power of the dragon vein. The crown prince was originally at the peak of the 9th level of the spirit profound realm. After obtaining the power of the dragon vein, his strength soared to the peak of the 3rd level of the human profound realm. The two elders couldn't react in time. 2 flying dragons flew out from the crown prince's palms and hit the 2 elders. The 2 elders screamed as they were sent flying. Looking at the 2 people who fell to the ground, the Mystic Master Temple Master snorted coldly. "You really are trash. Temple Master, save us." They stretched out their hands, but they didn't expect that the Temple Master's profound energy would directly flatten their hands. The Temple Master took a step forward and disappeared in an instant. In the next moment, he appeared in the same place. He raised the long sword in his hand and shouted, "Kill." The crown prince looked at the approaching long sword and didn't have any time to react. However, the 5th prince shouted, "7th brother, I'll save you." He shouted and appeared in front of the crown prince in the blink of an eye. However, the temple master's strength was too strong and directly shattered the 5th prince's chi aura. She looked at her brother who fell in her arms. In the past, weren't the 2 of them at odds with each other? Why would her brother protect her? "7th brother, what are you doing? Why aren't you studying?" "I think you can't study well." "That's true. What kind of mother gives birth to what kind of child?" "7th brother, what are you doing? You actually climbed to such a high place. If you want to commit suicide, stay away. Don't tarnish the elegance of this palace." "7th Emperor, I found a mystic master to torture you. In the future, you can properly live under his fear. Don't even think about snatching the position of crown prince from me." Tears flowed down the crown prince's eyes. The Mystic Master Temple Master snorted. "I didn't expect that someone would actually save you." He twisted the long sword in his hand. Suddenly, a lot of blood flowed out from the corner of the 5th prince's mouth. Jiu finally understood. Right, if the 5th prince wanted the position of crown prince, with the relationship between the 2 of them, he could have asked her to kill that trash crown prince long ago. The 5th prince's face and body were covered in blood. Chapter 612. Silly brother, even if you want to rebel, you have to use your own people. He's just been using you all along. After saying this, the 5th prince's body seemed to have stiffened up. His hands stopped in the air and became stiff. The temple master coldly snorted, "Don't worry, the next one will be your silly brother." After saying this, the temple master of the mystic master temple raised his hand and was about to stab down. Ji Yu's profound chi, which belonged to the peak of the first layer of the human profound realm, directly spread out. Chang Yuan and the Ning brothers followed behind Ji Yu. With just you guys. You can't even withstand a single blow. The reason why I let you guys go before was because I have an even bigger force to deal with. Suddenly, Ji Yu took out a small bamboo tube from his storage ring. He poured his profound chi into the bamboo tube. In an instant, a huge azure dragon appeared from the bamboo tube and flew into the sky. A dragon's roar resounded. Even in this vast eastern region empire, everyone could clearly hear this dragon's roar. The temple master didn't know what Ji Yu was doing, but the moment he saw the azure dragon, he only felt that something bad was going to happen. So he shouted, "Boy, since you're so protective of them, you should go first." After shouting this, he raised the long sword in his hand and directly chopped down on Ji Yu's head. 4 human profound realm chi auras superimposed on Ji Yu's body at the same time. Only then did he barely manage to block the sword. The person in front of him coldly snorted, "So this is all you have? I overestimated you. Boy, die." After shouting this, he raised the long sword in his hand and heavily chopped down in Ji Yu's direction. Suddenly, a profound light appeared in the sky. It enveloped everyone present. Sky profound chi, cover the whole body, exterminate the evil, and sweep the universe clean. A delicate voice came from the sky. A firebird was flying in the sky, and a woman in red was sitting on it. Who else could it be but Ji Yu Jaluo? Ji Yu Jaluo jumped down from the firebird. With the support of her profound energy, the profound energy in everyone's hands soared. After landing on the ground, Ji Yu Jaluo did not pay attention to the others. Instead, he directly rushed toward the mystic master temple master. "You're just a woman. Don't tell me you can overturn the heavens." As soon as he finished speaking, Ji Yu Jaluo kicked him. "Haha, with such delicate calves, even if I don't use my gang chi, I can still block you." Unexpectedly, as soon as he shouted this sentence, Ji Yu Jaluo kicked his chin and sent him flying. The air was Ji Yu Jaluo's territory. Ji Yu Jaluo exerted some strength in his legs and jumped up. After obtaining the power of inheritance, Ji Yu Jaluo was still able to use a certain amount of wood attribute Shen skills. He was like a kite that was being pulled around in her hands. Furthermore, he had to withstand the heavy blows from her feet in the air. If Ji Yu Jaluo's kick was heavy, no matter how good his physique was, he would only be a piece of trash. However, how could the temple master of the mystic master temple be so simple? He turned his body like a long snake, twisting his body. The temple master's mystic skill is actually a beast mystic skill. A beast mystic skill is much stronger than a heaven rank nature mystic skill. Yes, yes. Everyone agreed one after another, and the few old men shook their heads even more. However, at this moment, the temple master went past Ji Yu Jaluo and wrapped a vine around his body. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, a smile appeared on the temple master's face as he stretched out his hand and pulled. Suddenly, Ji Yu Jaluo shouted and was pulled to the front with an even greater force. Mystic skill, grass snake longsword. The temple master spat out an incomparably sharp longsword. The key point was that Ji Yu Jaluo was entangled by the vine and had no way to dodge this fatal blow. However, at this moment, Ji Yu threw away the warhound's great sword. The temple master sensed a terrifying killing intent coming from his direction and a trace of fear appeared in his eyes. He had just twisted his body, but he did not expect that the long sword had already brushed past his shoulder and completely cut off the vine. Ji Yu's figure flashed. Ding! Congratulations to host for using the 3000 clouds movement. You have gained 1 by 999 experience points. Ji Yu had combined the Dark Forest and the 3000 clouds movement together and also had the ability to fly in the air. He instantly appeared in front of the palace master and grabbed Ji Yu Jaluo with one hand while his other hand grabbed the warhound's great sword in front of him. A fire dragon appeared from the warhound's great sword and flew towards the person in front of him. Looking at the fire dragon, the palace master had never expected that he, an expert of the 5th level of the human profound realm, would be forced to such an extent by an ordinary person. Looking at the fire dragon that was about to hit his body, he gritted his teeth and said, "Ji-yu, you actually forced me to use that move." Suddenly, the golden light on his body shone brightly. A ray of golden light flashed out and covered his body with a layer of profound energy, completely sealing it. Ji-yu's fire dragon crashed onto it and the burning attribute could not be used at all. The person in front of him was directly sent flying and crashed onto the ground. He panted and said to Ji-yu, "Ha ha ha, little brat, is this all you've got? If that's all you've got, you can go to hell." Ji-yu brought Ji-yu Jaluo back to the ground. Chang Yuan and the others pushed back the people from the Mystic Master Temple who came up. They all frowned and said, "Ji Gongzi, if we can't defeat them, we can only retreat now." Ji-yu looked at the sky and said, "Don't worry, my old friends are here." Old friends? What kind of old friends? Their eyes were filled with confusion when they saw a few huge green figures suddenly appear in the sky. Everyone from the Mystic Master Temple felt a trace of fear in their heads. He said indifferently, "It's actually the Azure Dragon bloodline." Xiao Ji-yu was still accompanying her mother in the sacred ground. Otherwise, she would have already taken care of this group of dragons. Several figures directly landed beside Ji-yu. "Ji Gongzi, why did you call us here?" "What? It's actually the people from the Mystic Master Temple." The people from the Azure Dragon bloodline seemed to be very angry when they saw the people from the Mystic Master Temple. Chapter 613. Ji-yu took a step forward and said indifferently, "Elder, do you know them?" "Know them? How is that possible? These guys are simply committing all kinds of evil. They could have asked us directly for the Beast Profound skill, but they just had to kill us, the Azure Dragon bloodline, and seize our dragon souls to improve their Beast Profound skill." The Temple Master of the Mystic Master Temple snorted coldly. "Since you've appeared here today, I don't need to look for you everywhere. You'll all be my beast souls." After shouting these words, he laughed out loud. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from where he stood. The disciples of the temple wearing pure white robes rushed out one after another, each of them holding their own treasured weapons. "Saints, form a formation." After shouting this, the people of the temple in front of him all stood together in a triangle. Suddenly, a starry sky appeared in the sky. The originally clear sky suddenly turned into specks of starry sky. Everyone's position was enveloped by a ray of starlight. The Azure Dragon bloodline elder said with some disdain, "Dragon warriors, kill them for me." As soon as he finished speaking, a voice rang out. Countless rays of green light were injected into the square. Those civil officials had never seen such a battle before, so they all turned around and ran to a safe place. They stood on top of the arena and looked down. A dark light appeared on the ground, and each of them raised the long spear in their hands. Dragon warriors, they really had the aura of a dragon battle. All of them looked forward with sharp gazes. Suddenly, with a boom, a spark fell heavily from the sky. When he crashed into the ground, a huge crater appeared on the ground. Several members of the Azure Dragon bloodline who were affected by this explosion were also blown away, and the dragon scales on their bodies fell one after another. The temple master of the Mystic Master Temple pointed at them and said, "Kill them and seize the power of the dragon souls." Yes. They all stepped forward, but how could the elder of the dragon race allow himself to be captured so easily? He let out a long roar toward the sky, then suddenly transformed into an azure dragon and flew into the sky. With a roar, a gigantic dragon claw swiped towards the palace lord in front of him. The palace lord stretched out his hands and blocked the dragon claw in front of him. "So powerful. However, there's no way for you to defeat me like this. Your profound strength is still insufficient." In that instant, he laughed out loud. However, before he could reach her, Ji-yu's figure flashed and appeared beside him. He didn't expect that those trash wouldn't help him block Ji-yu. His eyes locked onto Ji-yu. "Ji-yu, what do you want?" The corners of Ji-yu's mouth curled into a smile. "What else can I do? I'll kill you." He raised the long sword in his hand and thrust it down. Although he was only at the 5th layer of the human profound realm, his qi-gang was like a 10,000 zhong tall wall, blocking in front of Ji-yu. Ji-yu poured all of her profound strength into the warhound's greatsword. Under the pressure of the greatsword, the long sword in his hand was gradually suppressed. He took a deep breath and watched as the qi-gang was about to be broken. Now that the Hall Master couldn't care less about Azure Dragon, wouldn't he be sliced in half by Ji-yu's sword if it were to land? Thinking of this in his heart, his legs began to contain a strong Shen Qi. He directly jumped up and heavily waved his palm, only to see the palm slapping down. He just happened to dodge Azure Dragon's and Ji-yu's attacks. A complacent smile appeared on his face. "You guys can't kill this old man, ha 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 ha." Suddenly, 3 sharp claws appeared in his chest. His smile suddenly froze. He saw a golden dragon claw in his chest. How is this possible? An expert of the 5th level of the human profound realm had died just like that. He struggled to twist his body, wanting to see what had killed him. The Crown Prince's left hand had completely turned into a green dragon claw. He looked at the person in front of him with sharp eyes and said indifferently, "You deserve to die." He stretched out his hand, pointed at the person in front of him and said slowly, "How is this possible? We, the Imperial family, can sacrifice a part of our lifespan and turn a part of our body into a dragon body. Don't you know?" After saying this, he fell into a pool of blood. In his eyes, there was still a look of disbelief. The Crown Prince's body swayed and fell heavily to the ground. Ji-yu looked at the scene in front of her and the group of civil officials were at a loss. Could it be that in just one day, all the princes in the palace were going to die here? Then how could such a huge Eastern region empire continue to operate in the future? Thinking of this, everyone raised their heads and looked at each other. But at this time, Ji-yu said, "You guys, carry them over there." After shouting this, the people in front of her carried the old emperor and the 2 princes back to the palace. Ji-yu waved her hand and an alchemist came forward. "Help me prepare some herbs. They are all in this list." The alchemist knew that Ji-yu was a friend of the 5th prince and that she had helped them eliminate the biggest threat to the Mystic Master Temple. After the Temple Master died, the rest of the people scattered like birds and beasts. They left the palace one after another. After seeing the list of herbs Ji-yu handed over, he gasped and said indifferently, "This, Ji Gongzi, your prescription is full of highly toxic substances." "That's right. But if that's the case, won't the princes and the others die?" Ji-yu smiled and said indifferently, "So what? If it weren't for the power of the dragon bloodline in me, they would have died long ago." No one knew Ji-yu's identity, but since he was so familiar with the elder of the Azure Dragon bloodline, he must have a great relationship with the dragon bloodline. It was normal for him to have the power of the dragon bloodline. They all knelt on the ground. "But this one can't bear the responsibility. If anything happens, I will bear the responsibility." With Ji-yu's guarantee, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief. "In that case, we will have to trouble young Master Ji-yu." Chapter 614. With the entire empire of the Eastern region under their control, it was very convenient for them to transport all the medicinal herbs to the central capital. In just a few days, all the medicinal herbs that Ji-yu ordered were ready. Ji-yu looked at the countless medicinal herbs that emitted a threatening aura and dismissed everyone in front of him. They all knelt on the ground and said to Ji-yu, "Ji Gongzi, these medicinal herbs will produce countless poisonous gases during cultivation, which will kill you." Ji-yu waved his hand, and the people in front of him knelt on the ground one after another. Seeing that Ji-yu was so strong, they looked at each other and retreated. Ji-yu turned around. The alchemists who came out started to talk to each other. "Hey, it's said that the first medicinal herb that young Master Ji-yu is going to use is the 10,000 scorpion grass." "What? It's actually the 10,000 scorpion grass?" According to legend, the gas produced by it can even penetrate the soul. After hearing this news, the people around him all showed a trace of disbelief. Ji-yu directly sent out the furnace in his body. A large cauldron appeared in the alchemy room. Ji-yu raised his hand and covered his hands with his dark force. Ji-yu quickly withdrew his hands and put the 10,000 scorpion grass on his body. The dark force of the 10,000 scorpion grass was spreading and was about to force into Ji-yu's body. But unexpectedly, Ji-yu was even faster. In the blink of an eye, he threw the medicinal herbs into the furnace in front of him, which immediately burned with a fierce fire. After covering the 10,000 scorpion grass, a huge scorpion seemed to appear from the 10,000 scorpion grass. The scorpion in the furnace stretched out its sharp claws and directly hit the furnace. With a clang, the furnace shook violently. Ji-yu took a step back. At this moment, the power of the fire inheritance left his hand and slowly spread into the furnace. However, the most amazing thing about the 10,000 scorpion grass was that the scorpion soul in its body had the ability to resist fire. Ji-yu's fire inheritance had no effect on it. At this moment, the soul in the 10,000 scorpion grass bumped its giant pincers, as if it was provoking Ji-yu. Ji-yu only mobilized the other profound energy in her body. Suddenly, the pill furnace was filled with the power of lightning. A bolt of lightning struck the soul of the myriad scorpion grass. With a creak, it flipped over. Only then did Ji-yu retract her hand. This was to prevent the effects of the 10,000 scorpion grass from disappearing completely. In a nearby tavern. However, this 10,000 scorpion grass is nothing. I saw that in Ji Gong's prescription, the second ingredient was longan grass. The dragon clan's people seem to eat it like lettuce. If ordinary people eat it, their bodies will explode and they will die. Exactly. How could Ji-yu dare to let young master eat such a vicious thing? Everyone had the same thought in their hearts. They looked at each other, but Ji-yu immediately raised her hands. A black cloud appeared in the sky. Countless bolts of lightning struck down at this moment. Catching the bolts of lightning, Ji-yu injected the power of the dragon bloodline into the pill furnace. Roar! A golden dragon soared into the sky. All the people in the central capital, whether they were profound cultivators or not, looked up at the sky. Was this the power of the dragon bloodline in young Master Ji-yu's body? It was truly a terrifying sight to behold. Ji-yu controlled the two medicinal herbs and slowly merged them together. At first, the two medicinal herbs wanted to resist. Ji-yu smiled faintly and said, "With just the two of you. Merge." Under Ji-yu's command, the two medicinal herbs gradually approached each other and began to merge. Ji-yu suddenly raised her hand and waved it heavily. She gathered all the medicinal herbs in front of her. In the blink of an eye, a black golden pill flew up. The golden pill was wrapped in a black gas. A human figure suddenly appeared in the golden pill. "I beg you, let me go." That person was like a child. Everyone was bewitched by the golden pill and felt a trace of sympathy. Only Ji-yu knew that this pill was not a human. He said faintly, "What are you doing? Why don't you quickly return to your position?" After hearing Ji-yu's roar, the pill first circled in the air, then flew directly toward the north gate of the central capital. Profound skill, Dark Forest. Ding. Host used the Heaven Profound skill, Dark Forest. Received 1 by 999 experience points. Countless mirrors surrounded the golden pill in front of him. The golden pill snorted and turned to escape. But it did not expect that Ji-yu had been waiting for it here. In an instant, the mirror turned into a purple light. Ji-yu disappeared in the blink of an eye. No matter where the golden pill went, Ji-yu's figure would appear in front of it. After hiding for a while, the golden pill realized that there was no way it could escape from Ji-yu. It turned its head and looked in the direction of Ji-yu with resentment. "Human, didn't you want to eat me? I'll let you eat me." At this moment, the power of the profound pill suddenly burst out. It was about to reach the critical point. This pill seemed to want to explode. This was the result that Ji-yu wanted. He said faintly, "What a coincidence." The critical point was reached. Ji-yu stretched out his hand. Countless mirrors covered the pill. Ji-yu reached out and pulled the pill into his hand. Ji-yu used the same method to refine another pill. Ji-yu held the pill in his hand and put 2 pills into their mouths. Countless golden armored guards stood at the door. They were looking forward to seeing what would happen. Suddenly, the golden light burst out. The bodies of the emperor, the crown prince, and the fifth prince were all enveloped by the black fog. At this moment, the black Xian Qi was unceasingly attacking them. When Jiyu saw this, he was delighted. He said faintly, "Everyone, His Majesty the Emperor is about to wake up." The old man slowly opened his eyes. The moment he saw Jiyu, he grabbed Jiyu's hand. "Why am I here?" "Oh right, young Master Jiyu, you must be wary of the Mystic Master Temple. I'm afraid their next target is you." A smile suddenly appeared on Jiyu's face. Seeing the smile on Jiyu's face, the old man looked at Jiyu in confusion. Chapter 6:15. What? Do you think my words are very funny? Or have you turned to those people from Mystic Master Temple? Jiyu cupped his hands. It was rare to see such a cute old man in this continent. Jiyu said lightly, reporting to the Emperor of the Eastern Region Empire, "He is already dead." "What? Who did you say is dead?" Jiyu said indifferently, "The Temple Master of Mystic Master Temple." The Prince of the Eastern Region smiled joyfully. "I didn't expect that he would die at your hands." Jiyu didn't want to take such useless credit, so she said indifferently, "He was killed by the two princes." When he saw the two princes beside him, he turned his head and smiled. The Prince of the Eastern Region was not worried that Jiyu would become the next Temple Master of Mystic Master Temple. Thus, he said, "I wonder if you have any thoughts about becoming the new head of the Mystic Master Temple?" Jiyu didn't stand on ceremony and directly agreed. Even the Prince of the Eastern Region was surprised by Jiyu's straightforwardness. What was going on? Jiyu slowly opened his mouth and said, "I'm also investigating some things. Only a faction with a long history like this would have traces of its existence." "I see." At this time, the Crown Prince and the Fifth Prince also woke up. The Crown Prince hugged the Fifth Prince and patted him on the shoulder. Suddenly, the Crown Prince knelt on the ground and said to the Prince of the Eastern Region, "Your Majesty, I'm leaving." "Why, you Crown Prince?" "I'm too stupid. I didn't even know that I was being used. I don't have the face to continue." Hearing this, the Prince of the Eastern Region suddenly laughed. "Do you think I don't know? The Fifth Prince has been secretly supporting you to become the Crown Prince and has been protecting your position." "What?" The Crown Prince's eyes widened. He never thought that his brother, who he had always viewed as a thorn in his side, was actually the person who had always protected him. This time, if it wasn't for Jiyu, how would he be able to face anyone in the future? He walked to Jiyu in shame and knelt in front of Jiyu. "Thank you, young master." Jiyu helped her up. "Everyone, I plan to reclaim the Mystic Teacher Temple." The Crown Prince said, "No matter how many soldiers and horses you need, the royal family will do our best to help you." Now that even the palace master of the fifth layer of the human profound realm was dead, the rest of the people were nothing in Jiyu's eyes. Jiyu said indifferently, "Thank you very much, Your Highness. But I think the help of a few students from our Zhongdu Academy will be enough. How about this? I'll give you 500 golden armored protectors. Although they only have the strength of the 9th level of the Spirit Profound Realm, it should be enough to deal with a certain number of Spirit Profound Realm experts." Jiyu cupped her hands, then, "Thank you, Your Highness." This time, Jiyu didn't refuse. She stood up, said goodbye, and walked to the other side to find Chang Yuan and the others. Chang Yuan and the others said excitedly after they came out, "As long as we can come back alive, every one of us will be barons." Their eyes were filled with pride. Jiyu slowly stepped forward and said, "If that's the case, we'll have to get there as soon as possible." After saying that, Jiyu disappeared from the spot in an instant. He was already several hundred meters away. When they saw this scene, they immediately followed and quickly followed behind Jiyu. He said indifferently, "Jiyu, don't think of leaving me behind." But he didn't expect that everyone would follow behind Jiyu. They quickly ran over. They only saw them following behind Jiyu. Although their profound strength had reached the 2nd level of the human profound realm, in front of Jiyu, who was at the 1st level of the human profound realm, they seemed to be extremely weak. Jiyu, on the other hand, was running forward at an extremely fast speed. Ding, the host used the 3000 cloud movement. Obtained 1 by 999 experience points. Ding, the host used the dark forest. Obtained 1 by 999 experience points. In the blink of an eye, Ji quickly flew forward. In the blink of an eye, she had already arrived in front of the Mystic Master Temple in the middle of the capital. The rest of the people started to talk. The Mystic Master Temple had already become an independent faction in the middle of the capital, whether it was the location or the area it occupied. The people of the Mystic Master Temple had already received the news. They all stood on the city wall with weapons in their hands, looking at Ji in front of them vigilantly. Ji said indifferently, "Ha ha ha." They raised the spears in their hands. They aimed at Ji below. "How dare you bring so many troops here? Do you know where this is?" Ji said, "The Mystic Master Temple has already won. You can come out now." After hearing this, they appeared in front of Ji. "Is that true? Really?" After hearing this, Ji suddenly waved her hand. 500 golden-armored soldiers ran out one after another, placing their long swords on each person's neck. Seeing the long swords on their necks, the remaining forces of the Mystic Master Temple all looked at Ji in surprise. You lied to us. You'll know when our temple master comes back later. Ha ha ha." The golden-armored guards all laughed and said at the same time, "Your temple master is already dead." After hearing this sentence, they took a step forward, as if they didn't believe this sentence. In an instant, all the Xian energy in their bodies erupted, and that Xian energy was injected into his body at this moment. Everyone from the Mystic Master Temple raised their hands at this moment. At this moment, Ji's figure flashed and disappeared. Countless rumbling sounds exploded on the ground. Seeing Ji's terrifying mystic technique, what else did they dare to say? They all took a step back. Ji said indifferently, "Those who surrender won't be killed." Ji's words made them look at each other. "Why don't we surrender?" Everyone thought in their hearts. The next moment, they all knelt on the ground and kept kowtowing. They said to Ji, "We're willing to surrender." Ji nodded and stood up. "Let's go in and take a look." The people behind her followed Ji into the Mystic Master Temple. They were very curious about how many treasures there were in this legendary Mystic Master Temple. Although everyone had entered, their identities were no longer the same. Chapter 616. When Ji stepped into the hall, countless treasures were placed in front of Ji. He looked up and said indifferently, "I didn't expect that there would be so many treasures in the Mystic Master Temple." A sneaky cultivator walked up with a cheeky smile. "Ji Gongzi, the previous temple master, embezzled these things. I'm here to ask the new temple master to return these things to everyone." A disdainful smile appeared on Ji's face. He said indifferently, "From today onwards, send all the items in the temple to the southern region." "What?" Everyone looked at Ji in surprise. Ji said indifferently, "Second, from today onwards, the Mystic Master Temple will be renamed the Ice Sealing Sect." After hearing this, several old men in the hall walked out. They cupped their hands and asked, "May I ask what relationship you have with the Ice Sealing Empress?" The old man thought that Ji was the descendant of the Ice Sealing Empress. Ji said indifferently, "I was summoned by the Ice Sealing Goddess, so, what?" They all widened their eyes. One of them said, "Does the Ice Sealing Saintess really exist?" However, the people following Jadwa didn't know about the existence of this title. The news of Ji's change of faith was transmitted to the hall. The king of the eastern region looked at the letter in his hand and said indifferently, "Ha ha ha. That's great." He said indifferently, "Men, pass on my order. From today onwards, the Ice Sealing Sect will be the state religion." At this moment, a soldier stumbled into the hall. "Your Majesty, 50,000 soldiers from the Southern Region Empire are waiting outside the city gates. It seems that the king of the Southern Region is with us." "What?" "Your Majesty, don't be careless." A eunuch walked in. "Your Majesty, young Master Ji is requesting an audience." "Let him in." Ji stepped into the hall. However, today, Ji was wearing dragon armor and looked like an emperor. Everyone began to discuss spiritedly. Could it be that he wants to rebel? That's right. This human profound realm expert is really too terrifying. He can kill all of us by himself. Jiyu cupped her hands and said, "Greetings, Your Majesty. I am Princess Jiyu of the Southern Region." What? He is the king of the Southern Region? The discussions grew louder. The king of the Eastern Region had never expected that the king of the Southern Region would be the one to resolve the crisis. He smiled and said, "Greetings, King of the Eastern Region." The moment he saw it, he understood that if Jiyu wanted to forcefully merge the two countries, he would not be able to resist at all. Jiyu said calmly, "Your Majesty, I have a suggestion. From today onwards, why don't we combine our armies and include the northern and western regions?" Jiyu's idea was not small. Even the powerful empire of the Eastern Region was a little surprised after hearing this. However, the king of the Eastern Region looked at Jiyu and said calmly, "I allow it." Jiyu knew that the generals of the Southern Region were no match for the generals of the Empire of the Eastern Region. She said, "Then I will hand over the soldiers of the Southern Region to Your Majesty." What? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. After Jiyu put these matters aside, she could focus on finding the divine evolving temple. His figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. In the cold north of the Empire of the Eastern Region, a gust of cold air continued to spread through the huge mountain range. It seemed that some kind of power had gathered the cold air here. Jiyu stepped into the cold land. The giant fish under the ground seemed to have smelled Jiyu. Suddenly, it broke through the ice from the ground and flew up. It opened its big mouth and bit in the direction of Jiyu. Xiao Jiyu stood behind Jiyu and said, "Brother Ji, be careful." Jiyu revealed a relaxed smile. She slashed down with the warhound's giant sword. With a loud crack, the giant fish was cut in half by the giant sword. Xiao Jiyu hurried over. As a caring wife, how could she not help Jiyu roast the fish? The two of them ate to their heart's content before continuing on their journey. Suddenly, 12 golden lights appeared outside the divine evolving temple in the cold land. The rope of spirit started to tremble violently. The soul remnant phantom appeared in front of everyone. The 12 golden lights were all around the third tier of the human profound realm. After seeing the soul remnant phantom, they all knelt down. 2 golden guards walked forward and said, "Saintess and young master, please come this way." Jiyu glanced at the soul remnant phantom. Who was this woman? They walked into the temple. Perhaps they would find the answer today. They looked at the huge stone statue in front of them. The soul remnant phantom floated in front of the statue. He roared, "Rise." After saying this, the stone statue in front of them suddenly shook violently. Stones started to fall. Jiyu said indifferently, "It seems like something is coming out." The soul remnant phantom quickly flew in. After a while, a beautiful woman descended from the sky. Even Jiyu was stunned. The original body has finally returned. The 12 golden guards knelt down excitedly. "Greetings to the Ice Queen." Jiyu looked at the person in front of her. It was the Ice Queen who had been accompanying her all this time. The Ice Queen's profound light faded. "Jiyu, thank you. However, I only have 2 strands of soul power now. I need to fuse the remaining 2 strands of soul power together before I can recover my original body." Jiyu said indifferently, "It is my honor. I will help you return to this world." The Ice Queen smiled at Jiyu before returning to the rope of spirit. Xiao Jiyu asked, "Where are we going?" "The Northern Region Empire." A few months later. Northern Region Empire, Tianjing City. 2 black-robed young men and women appeared here. If it wasn't Jiyu, who else could it be? However, Jiyu had asked around but had never heard of the Northern Region Empire having an extremely cold place. Moreover, the Northern Region Empire had just surrendered to the Eastern Region Empire and was waiting to prosper. Everyone in the Northern Region Empire loved peace. Hence, they didn't resist. Only the Western Region Empire was still bitterly holding on. However, according to rumors, it was only a matter of time before the empire was destroyed. Jiyu and Xiao Jiyu took off their cloaks. A man dressed like a rich young master was stunned. He pointed at Xiao Jiyu and said, "Such a beautiful woman. Take her down." The few people beside him smiled and walked forward casually. "Young lady, our young master wants to treat you to a drink. Why don't you come with us? You can have as many gold coins as you want." Xiao Jiyu rolled her eyes at them and ignored them. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.